A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A five-alarm fire. 5 bells moving immediately.
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the home of Tom Culpepper, editor of the Plum Valley Courier. As his guests, the Chief and Tim have seen more than enough to convince them the town is actually in a dangerous situation when it comes to fires. Lack of equipment and untrained men were responsible for the Hancock block burning to the ground yesterday, and carelessness was to blame for the fire later rekindling and burning the newspaper office. Well, as a result, Tom Culpepper has asked them to join him in a fight to the finish in attacking this problem. Now, what their first step was to be, we'll see right after this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's see how editor Tom Culpepper plans to attack the indifference and outright opposition in Plum Valley to get the needed firefighting equipment and men. But before we join him as he maps his campaign with Chief Cody and Tim Collins, let's recall the situation of last evening when the three men stood before the burning embers of the Courier's office and print shop. Let's see what the straw was that broke the camel's back and made Tom fighting mad.
It isn't the carelessness alone, Chief, which makes me furious. It's the fact that not a single volunteer showed up.
Well, my friend Luther thinks there was a mix-up, Tom.
We can't afford many more like this, Collins. Do you consider that any excuse, Chief Cody?
No, I'm afraid I don't, Tom.
This town is going to have decent equipment and trained men. Now, will you and Collins help me, Chief?
I'd say that was almost in the line of duty. That, Tim?
Oh, you bet, sir. Only I don't see exactly what we can do.
I need your knowledge and advice, most of all. I'm going to start out with an editorial tomorrow that'll make the people in this town sit up and take notice.
But how can you get your paper out after the fire here?
Well, we'll set up headquarters in my home. Fred Jenkins in the next town will lend me his presses when I'm ready.
I thought you said he was a competitor of yours.
Well, ordinarily he is, Collins, but in a pinch, he'll come to my aid.
Well, with folks like that hereabouts, this ought to be easy.
Don't make that mistake, Chief. I happen to know how the president of the town council feels about spending money on this problem. He'll hand us the hottest fight you ever saw. Are you still with me?
Well, why not? Tim and me kind of make a business of putting out things that get a mite too hot. It's a deal, Tom.
Now, bright and early this morning, the living room in editor Tom Culpepper's house is as active as a newspaper office. Two assistants are sorting out plates and other paraphernalia saved from the fire, while Tom himself is bent over his typewriter in deep concentration.
Well, I've finished at last. Now listen to this, Chief. And you too, Collins. A town the size of Plum Valley can't afford a $200,000 loss from fire. Not when it can be prevented with a fraction of that amount spent for basic fire equipment and training. Take a look at the ruins of Hancock Block today. Ask yourself if that loss to the community was necessary. If the answer is no, turn out for the council meeting tonight where this subject will be discussed.
I notice you didn't say where it would be settled.
Well, it won't be that easy. You don't know Turner Lawson.
The president of the council?
Yes. He's perfectly sincere, but he's set against spending the taxpayers' money on anything he thinks is unnecessary, and you'd be surprised how many people agree.
Oh, but this is an investment in safety.
That's true, Tim, but you got to show them, like I said. Folks always seem to think fire's going to strike the other fellow's home, not theirs.
Well, I try to cover that angle down here. Now, here, let's see, here. Oh, here it is, here. Take the Cotter Tool Company on the edge of town. Consider the business that one enterprise brings to Plum Valley. Think of the unemployment, the loss of revenue to every merchant, businessman, yes, every citizen, if that plant should be destroyed by fire.
You're not trying to, scare him a bit, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. Now, listen, Chief. Hey, you look that place over and see if it's not ripe for a fire. You'll need facts like that when you speak before the council this evening.
When I do what?
Well, you're the authority. Your words will carry more weight than mine. I've been talking fire protection for so long now, Mr. Lawson is against me before I start.
How will he feel toward me?
Exactly the same, probably. It won't be easy. Say, isn't that Luther on the porch? The young fellow who helped you fight the fire last night?
Yes, sir. He came over to talk firefighting with me. He can't think of anything else. It's his day off.
You must have a lot of material like Luther in town, Tom. Too bad you can't put him to work.
I will. Right now, after I get a mighty thin edition of the Courier printed up in the next town, Luther could use his truck to help deliver. I want to get a copy in everybody's hand before tonight.
Well, why not let me give him a hand, Tom?
Oh, that'd be fine. While the chief is doing his research, you could... Oh, no, say. Wait a second. I wonder if that would get Luther in trouble.
Delivering papers?
Yeah. You see, he works for Colonel Lawson.
Oh.
I'd hate to see him fired for helping me.
I don't think I'm going to like this Lawson guy.
Well, he's not an easy man to deal with. I'm afraid, Chief, you'll find out what I mean when you tangle with him at the meeting.
I'll have to remind you, Mr. Culpepper, that writing an editorial doesn't necessarily put the subject on the council's order of business.
As chairman, Mr. Lawson, I'm requesting that you do so now.
Well, all right, but make it brief.
Well, first, I want to introduce a friend of mine, Chief Bob Cody.
Now, just a minute. The chair recognized you, Tom. We don't need any outsiders coming in to tell us how to run our business.
Don't we? Think of the number of fires we've had the past month. I'd say it's high time we had help.
Well, maybe there have been epidemics of fires and things recently, but our boys can handle the situation.
If I may interrupt, Mr. Lawson, there shouldn't be any situation to handle. There's no such thing as an epidemic of fire.
No? Just what do you call it in the city, Chief Cody?
When there are too many fires, I'd call it carelessness, ignorance. In the city or any place else, Mr. Lawson.
Would you now? You can stop folks from being careless?
Certainly. A month's campaign telling your citizens what to watch out for, how to be on the alert, would cut your fires to a fraction. And not cost you a cent.
That last part interests me, Chief. Go on.
Well, for instance, as I got out of my friend's car in front of the town hall, Mr. Lawson, I happened to look on the porch of a house 2 doors down.
That's Al Perkins' house. He's sitting here beside me.
Now, I'm not being personal any more than fire is when it strikes. But Mr. Perkins had evidently dumped hot ashes in a wooden box out there.
A lot of people do around here.
Well, then I'm surprised you haven't had even more fire, sir. But to make this worse, I saw a couple of oil cans not 2 feet away on that porch.
Did you now? Well, it seems to me you're being accused of being careless and ignorant, Mr. Perkins. Yeah. You're a prophet when it comes to a fire, Chief Cody.
I know an open invitation to trouble when I see it. Take the Cotter Tool Company on the edge of town.
I see you read Tom Culpepper's editorials.
Not only that, I inspected the plant this afternoon.
Very kind of you, I'm sure. But I happen to own stock in the factory, and if you think that building is a fire trap, you're crazy.
It isn't. But it could stand a good sprinkler system.
Those things cost money, Chief Cody.
It'll cost you a good deal more if a fire ever starts there, Mr. Lawson. Without larger water mains in that part of town, you'd never put it out.
Thank you for warning us. And now, gentlemen...
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have the folks here tonight listen to Chief Cody's suggestions for organizing and training a group of efficient volunteer firefighters.
I've given you all the time I can, Culpepper. The chair will entertain a motion that this discussion be tabled until the next council meeting.
I so move. Second the motion.
All those in favor will signify by raising their hands. It is so ordered.
Mr. Chairman... This is a desperate situation, and we're entitled to further discussion of it.
You're out of order, Culpepper. If the meeting will come to order, I'd like to make a few remarks about the coming election.
Listen, Chief, isn't that their fire bell?
I'm afraid it is, Tim.
Hey, Perkins, your porch is on fire. I can see it from the window.
Yeah, now, Lawson, maybe you'll agree Chief Cody is something of a prophet when he tells you about a dangerous setup.
Just keep calm, everybody. I see enough of our regular volunteers volunteers in the audience to have this blaze out in a jiffy.
A jiffy? From bitter experience, they'll be lucky to get it out at all.
How about that, men? Shall we show Tom Culpepper and his friends we're quite capable of handling our own fires?
All right. That's a challenge, Lawson, and I accept it.
Now, take it easy, Tom.
If you want to see what experience and training means, Lawson, I'll pit my two friends against raw volunteers any day. Chief Cody and Private Collins can't refuse to fight a fire.
Well, of course we can't, Tom, but...
If they don't have that fire out before your men even arrive, I'll eat that editorial I wrote, word for word.
Has their friend placed the chief and Tim in an awkward spot? Maybe the editor, in his anger, has forgotten the oil cans the chief mentioned as being next to the hot cinder box. To see what happens now, be sure to join us next time for another exciting episode of The Firefighters. In a moment, Chief Cody will tell you how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, boys and girls, let's listen to this message. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. I suppose a good many of you do your playing after school in one of those vacant lots that always seem to be around town. Now, it's been my experience that old weeds, dried leaves, rubbish, separately or a combination of them, can make a place like that a possible fire menace. If you and your friends would make a point of clearing off a lot like that, it would be a safer spot as well as a nicer place to play. You just remember that. Now, till we meet again next time, this is Chief Cody saying, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Fire! Fire!
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. In a year's time, a burglar has taken approximately $80,000 in money and jewelry. None of his victims can describe him. Your job, get him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. It was 8:02 a.m. when I got to room 45. Burglary. That you, Joe? Yeah. How about that fight last night, huh? Did you see it on Channel 4?
No, I started to watch it. The set went on.
Picture tube?
I don't know, Joe. Picture got all fuzzy and started to wobble. You know, like when an airplane goes over between the set and the train.
Oh, yeah, no.
The set's been acting up lately. I thought there might be something wrong with the aerial, so I figured I'd take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Got the ladder out, got up on the roof. Sure enough, one of the wires on the thing was off. Just hanging by a little bit of the rubber coating. Climbed back down to get the wire cutters to fix it. Couldn't find them. Had to use scissors to strip the insulation off the wire. Got the wire all fixed to put back on, then I couldn't find the pliers to get the nut off the aerial. Looked all through the house, no so.
What'd you do?
Nothing I could do. Try to get the nut off with the scissors. Broke them. Finally went back into the house to listen to the radio. Fight was over.
Yeah, I only went 4 rounds.
Yeah, I found that out. Got the radio on just when the announcer was giving the last commercial. And Faye and me had a talk.
Well, not again.
Yeah, I told her I was going to buy a whole new set of tools. The first time I saw the kids with one of them, I was going to raise the roof.
Must have made her happy.
Yeah, it did. Made some remark about them only being kids. Said if I wanted to keep the tools out of their hands, I should put them in a place where they can't reach them. There's only one trouble, Joe.
What's that?
With Mike and Stacy, there isn't such a place.
Figure I know what you mean. It's sure a good fight, though. It's too bad you missed it.
Yeah.
Right in, Smith? Yeah, Skipper. Right here, will you? Right.
Skipper, what's up?
Sit down. Just got a call from the Wilshire Division. That string of burglaries they've had out there.
Mm-hmm.
They can't spare the men to give this thing the time it looks like it's going to take to turn it for. So I'm putting you two on it. And here's all the crime reports on.
Looks like you've been busy. A lot of reports here. What's he picking?
Money and jewelry.
Mm-hmm. He uses a celluloid strip to get into the houses. Not much unusual about that.
No.
According to the reports, he's been hitting around 3:30 to 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah, he evidently rings the bell first to see if there's anybody in the house. And then if there isn't, he uses celluloid to open the door. Goes through the house, then leaves by the back door.
What's this bit here about the glass of milk?
Well, that's the one part of his M.O. that's new. It seems every place he goes into, he has a glass of milk before he leaves.
Any prints on the glass?
Haven't found any yet. Seems to wipe the glass clean before he leaves.
Stats office come up with anything on the M.O.?
Nothing that hasn't been checked out. The leads they gave us didn't go anyplace.
How about the victims? Any of them ever see the guy?
No, not good. A couple of them have caught glimpses of him leaving the house. Didn't realize at the time that he'd just come from their place.
How about a description?
Everybody that's seen him tells a different story. Some have him tall and thin, others have him short and husky. Some have him dark, others light. Anybody's guess.
Oh, that makes it easy, huh? You been working any one area, Skipper?
Yeah, according to those reports, he works around in here. And here. From Wilshire to Pico on the south, La Brea to Robertson on the west.
A lot of areas, Skipper.
Yeah.
How about help?
Much as you need. Metro will give you as many men as they can spare. Said you could probably count on 10 teams.
Well, we should be able to patrol the area pretty well with them.
Be it more than one place a day? Yeah. Sometimes 3 or 4. Depends on how much time it takes them to go through a place.
And he never works later than 6 o'clock.
No, not that we know.
It's pretty smart. More people on the streets that time of day, less likely to be noticed.
That's probably the way he figures it.
I still don't think I get this milk thing here.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
You have it every place he goes?
Seems to. The owner comes home and finds all the money and jewelry in the place gone and an empty glass on the table in the living room.
Living room?
Yeah, in the living room. Evidently pours the milk right after he gets into the house and carries it around with him while he works. Finishes it up before he leaves. Boys from Wilshire have found those rings, you know, when you put a glass down on the table.
Yeah, I know.
Found them all over the house.
They haven't found any prints at all, huh?
No, Leighton Prince has gone over the places completely. Everything they found has a right to be there. Belonged to the family or friend.
$80,000. How about the pawn shop detail? They turn up anything?
No, nothing. None of the jewelry's turned up as far as we can tell.
Looks like a gem, huh?
It is. It's all yours.
All right. We'll get started on it right away.
You two stay on this until you clean it up.
Right, Skipper.
Any ideas where you're going to start?
Well, only one place, the neighborhood where he works.
Yeah?
We don't know him. Maybe he'll come to us. Frank and I went over the reports. In general, the operation was the usual type. The use of a celluloid strip to enter a house wasn't new. The suspect operated during those times when detection was least likely. He never operated in the rain. All in all, with the exception of the milk drinking, the case could have been 100 others. Frank and I spent the rest of the afternoon talking to the victims who had seen the burglar. They were all sure that the man they'd seen was the one we wanted, but their description varied from each other. All the victims had been shown mug books, but failed to identify the suspect. We called Metro Division and asked them to give us as many radio units as possible to cover the area. They assigned 10 cars to the detail. Frank and I covered the entire area in our car. Wednesday, September 5th. 2 months had passed, during which time the burglar hit only 2 houses. In spite of the heavy patrol action in the area, he got away safely in both instances. 5:45 p.m.
Looks like another day shot, huh?
Yeah, another 15 minutes to go.
Well, one thing anyway, he's calmed down, Joe. He's going to make 100,000 this year.
Wait a minute, Frank.
Yeah?
Up ahead there on the left, White House.
Yeah, I can see him.
Pull over here. We'll walk down it.
Right.
Come on, you get on my side.
All right.
Still working? Yeah, probably a double lock on that door, huh? Celluloid won't work there. Having a little trouble, mister?
Huh?
Looks like you're having a little trouble getting that door open.
Oh, yeah, I lost the key. You police officers?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, happy to know you're on the job, protecting my house and all. Sure appreciate it.
Wonder if we can see your identification.
I beg your pardon?
Your identification? Wonder if we can see it.
Well, what's the matter? Don't you believe me that I live in this house?
We'd just like to see your ID. Nothing wrong with you showing it to us, is there?
Oh, of course not. Gee, looks like I left my wallet in the house.
What's that gadget you were trying to get into the house with there?
Oh, this? A piece of celluloid. I read about it someplace. I happen to have it.
Mm-hmm. Turn around, will you, toward the street?
Yeah, sure. What do you want?
What's the address of the house you live in?
The address?
Yes, sir.
You guys still don't believe I live here, do you?
The address, what is it?
1200 block in Allendale.
What's your name?
Anderson? Jack Anderson.
Maybe you can explain why the name of the mailbox is Radcliffe, huh?
Well, yeah, sure I can explain. You see, I'm just visiting here. Summer vacation, just out here a couple of weeks.
All right, mister, stand still.
Hey, wait, what's going on? You got no right to
stand still. How about this wallet? Is it yours?
Yeah. Oh, come on, give it back.
Let's take a look here. You said your name was Anderson, is that right?
Well, yeah, but I can explain that.
Yeah, I hope so. It's going to be a little involved, though.
Well, what's wrong?
2 things. Wrong house and wrong identification. Frank and I
I took the suspect back to the city hall for interrogation. Although he gave us the name Jack Anderson, all his identification bore the name Robert Red Neal. We ran the name through R&I. Neal had several previous arrests on burglary charges. According to the record, there were no warrants on him at the time. 6:20 p.m. Frank and I questioned Neal.
All right, Neil, come on off it. Okay, so you know I don't live in the house. It looks like one I do live in. I just made a mistake, that's all. They build all these houses out here so they look alike.
Now, look, Neil, don't ask us to believe that one.
I'm not asking you to believe anything but the truth, and I'm telling you that. Sure, now what about your record? Well, what about it?
A lot of burglary charges.
All right, I did a little time. Now, what's that prove? I'm going straight now.
You still can't come up with a story to tell why you were trying to get into that house.
I told you I thought it belonged to a friend of mine.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
You like milk, Neil?
Huh?
You like milk?
Look, I don't get this. What are you trying to
Just
prove?
answer the question. Do you like milk?
I can take it or leave it alone. I'm a big boy now. Sometimes I drink coffee.
How long have you been in town, Neil?
Couple of weeks. Why?
Where were you before you got here?
Up north.
Where up north?
Down Sacramento.
What'd you do up there?
A few odd jobs. Look, if you guys are going to book me, then do it. Let's get this yak over.
A couple of things we want to settle first, Neil.
What?
How long were you up north?
I guess it's been about 6-7 months.
7 months. You got any way of proving that?
Look, why should I have to prove anything? You guys figure you got a rap you can stick me with? Okay, try it. Book me in.
Look, don't press, Neil. Can you prove you're up north for the last 7 months?
Yeah, it shouldn't be any trouble at all.
Who do we talk to?
The sheriff up there, he had me in the can.
After waiting for 2 months, the one suspect we were able to turn had an alibi that we couldn't shake. Frank and I went back to rolling stakeout. The burglaries continued. Evidently, the burglar was getting more and more reckless. The police cars in the area were acting as less of a deterrent to his activities. In 2 weeks, he looted 16 homes. A week of bad weather brought his operation to a standstill, but as soon as the rain cleared, he went back to work. Tuesday, October 9th, we got a call from an elderly woman who said that she had information regarding the burglaries. Frank and I drove over to talk to her.
Won't you sit down, officers?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Miss Blair, you said on the phone that you had something to tell us about the burglary.
Yes, I have. Would you like a little something to eat? Sandwich, coffee? I just took some cookies out of the oven. Maybe you'd like some of those and a glass of milk.
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same. Now, you just tell us what you know, please.
Well, I feel a little silly about it, officer. At first, I didn't think I'd say anything about it, but then I got to thinking, and I figured it might be better if I did tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's about the burglaries, you know.
Yes, ma'am. That's what you said on the phone.
Phone? Oh, yes. You mean when I called you?
Yes, I'm glad. Now, if you'd please tell us what it is that you have here.
Of course. I guess I'm just being a coward about it, not telling you right out, but when you hear the whole story, you'll understand.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, I went out to the store yesterday afternoon and had a sale on frozen foods down at the supermarket. Wonderful bargains. Fruit juice at 12 cents a can. Prices on vegetables where you just wouldn't believe it.
We understand that, ma'am. Now, how about the burglaries?
Oh, yes. Well, I went to the market about 2:30. That's when I left the house. Normally, I meet my husband after work and he brings me home. Only yesterday he didn't. He had some work to do at his office. He's in real estate.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, yesterday he didn't bring me home. I caught a ride with that nice Mrs. Coddington. Lived 2 doors down. She brought me home yesterday. I got here about 3:45. Remember looking at the mantel clock when I came in? That one there.
Yes, ma'am.
Clock has always kept perfect time. Wedding present. Lovely thing.
Yes, ma'am. It's very nice.
Isn't it so? The gold work on the face.
Ma'am, we don't like to be rude, but if you just tell us what you know about the burglaries.
Well, certainly. You see, I came into the house, and there he was.
No?
The burglar. There he was in the hall, drinking a glass of milk. Such a nice-looking boy. Just stood there for a minute drinking the milk.
Well, what'd he do when he saw you?
He put the milk down on the telephone table, and then he started to run to the back door. I told him to stop.
Did he?
Not at first. Then I told him that my husband was out in back, out in the garage. He stopped then.
Go on, ma'am.
I asked him what he was doing in my house.
What'd he say?
Nothing, really. He just stammered around, said that maybe he'd made a mistake. I told him that I guess he had, breaking into somebody's house. Just terrible, officer. I just scared the wits out of me.
Yes, ma'am.
I started to tell him how he should be ashamed of himself for stealing from other people. I really told him. I said, you know, we haven't got that much that we can have people like you come in here and steal. Then I picked up the phone and started to call the police. That's when he started to cry.
He started to cry?
Yes, just like a little boy. Put his hands up to his face and the tears just streamed down his cheeks.
What happened then, Mrs. Blair?
Well, when I saw him cry, he looked so small, like such a little boy, that I went over to him and comforted him.
You didn't get in touch with the police, ma'am?
Well, no. Oh, I suppose I should have, but I didn't. When I got the boy calmed down, he told me that he didn't know what he'd do if his family found out about it. He told me about his mother and how she died when he was just a baby and how his sister raised him. He said she was just a couple of years older than him. I asked about his father, and he said that his father was a drunk, that he had to bring in what money the family needed, Said that his sister was sick, bad heart, and at the shock of his being arrested to kill her. Well, now, I asked you officers, what could I do?
Well, what did you do, Miss Blair?
I told him to sit down. I wanted to talk to him. We went out in the kitchen, and I asked him if he was hungry. You know, growing boy and all. I thought he might like a sandwich or something.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he didn't want anything to eat, but he said he would like a glass of milk, so I poured him one.
You said that you'd talked with him?
Yes, I thought that maybe I could talk him out of continuing this way, stealing. I asked him if he had a job, something to earn an honest living.
Yes, ma'am.
He told me that he'd tried to find work after school, but anything he'd get just didn't pay him enough. He tried to get along on the money, but it just wasn't enough. Medicine for his sister and all. Then there was his father, horrible man.
So what did he say about his father?
Oh, he told me all about him, how he drinks and causes trouble, spends what little money they have on liquor.
Uh-huh. This boy tell you his name, ma'am?
Not at first. He said he didn't want me to turn him in. I told him that I wouldn't, and then he said he was Bob Allison.
Did he tell you where he lived?
Not exactly. Said someplace out on East Los Angeles. I got the idea that he wasn't too proud of his home. Can't say I blame him.
Uh-huh. How about a description, ma'am? What do he look like?
Well, now let me think. Well, I'd say he was young, about 17, maybe 18. Such a young man to be doing something like this.
How tall would you say he was, ma'am?
Tall?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess as tall as you are. Maybe just a teeny bit taller.
That'd make him about 6 feet?
Yes, I guess so.
How about his build, ma'am?
Oh, nice, broad shoulders. You got no idea how I felt when I thought about this boy being a thief. It's terrible.
Yes, ma'am. So would you say he was heavy or slight? About how much would you say he weighed?
No, I'm bad at guessing people's weight. It'd be difficult to say.
Well, ma'am, would you say he was as heavy as I am?
Yes, about your weight.
How about the color of his hair?
Light, nice blonde hair. He had a little wave right here in front, blue eyes. Looked like such a little boy when he cried.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anything unusual about him that you might have noticed? Scars, moles, anything like that?
No, not a thing.
How about the way he talked? Anything unusual there, maybe?
Sorry.
How about his clothes, Mrs. Blair? How was he dressed?
A pair of slacks, a white shirt, and no tie. A button was missing from his shirt. Poor boy probably hasn't got anyone to take care of his clothes. Had on a school sweater. You know the kind that the seniors get when they're going to graduate? Has the initial of the school on it and no stripes on the sleeve.
Yes, ma'am. What was the initial on the sweater?
Well, there wasn't one. It had been taken off. I could tell that there had been one, though, because a few of the threads were still in the wall.
How about the color of the sweater?
Brown, a dark brown with yellow stripes.
You know, Miss Blair.
Yes?
The glass of milk that the boy drank from the glass, has it been washed yet?
I thought you'd ask about that. No, I stepped aside for you.
You have it now, ma'am?
Yes, it's in the kitchen. My husband said you'd want it. He was hopping mad when he heard about it, just about raised the roof right off the house.
I wonder if we could see that glass.
Well, of course. It's right out here in the kitchen.
Fine.
There it is on the drain board.
Anybody touched it since the boy?
No, I don't think so. My husband might have, but I don't think he did. He was quite adamant about me not washing it until you came.
Now, Miss Blair, this happened last night. How was it you waited until this morning to report it?
Well, at first I believed the boy. Really thought that it was just circumstances that made him steal. I felt so sorry for him when he broke down and cried. Right here, leave him. Give him every chance. And I let him go. I thought that it would make you do some good. Sort of a new beginning. When I told my husband about it, like I said, he was pretty sore. Talked about the young thief. We never had any children of our own, and I felt so sorry for the boy. I guess my husband couldn't understand. When Bob, that's his name, when Bob said he was sorry, I believed him and let him go. Just let him walk right out of the house. My husband got home, and I told him. He said to call you. I tried to talk to Sam, that's my husband, make him understand, but he insisted. And then this morning, of course, I agreed with him, and so I called you.
Well, why was that, ma'am?
Bob stole my watch.
Stop giving the bank your money. Stop it. If you think you're paying a high interest rate on your home loan, call Coastal Mortgage today, and they'll help you figure out how you can lower your monthly payment. When you buy a car, do you ask the salesperson if you can pay more than the sticker price? So why should you pay more than you have to on your home loan? Let an experienced broker represent you before more than 70 lending institutions, and you'll be assured the best possible rate and program. Imagine what you can do each month with the money you'll save. Just call Coastal Mortgage at 949-833-9144, and they'll walk you through a very simple process. There's no risk because if they can't lower your interest rate, you're not obligated to take the loan. Call Coastal Mortgage right now at 949-833-9144 and speak to a qualified loan representative. That's 949-833-9144, 949-833-9144.
Finding out you or a loved one has cancer is never easy. It's natural to be afraid when faced with the decision of choosing a cancer treatment. For many cancer patients, fear of the treatment is almost as bad as the cancer itself. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center is the result of 4 decades of leading-edge cancer research and treatment. Opened in 1990, the Proton Treatment Center offers a non-surgical procedure that is superior to traditional radiation therapy in a number of ways. Proton therapy is so precise, there is little or no damage to surrounding tissue. This results in minimal side effects, and most patients experience no disruption in their daily activities. In fact, proton therapy is offered as an outpatient procedure. Call 1-800-PROTONS for a free information packet and videotape explaining the benefits of proton therapy. 1-800-PROTONS. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center. 1-800-PROTONS.
KNX 1070 News Radio.
11:45 a.m. Frank and I went back to the office. We ran the name Bob and Robert Allison through R&I. There was no record on anyone answering his description. We got out a local broadcast and an APB on him. Mrs. Blair went over the mug books but was unable to identify the boy. Frank got in touch with the Board of Education and asked for the name of the school using the colors brown and gold. They told him that it would take a little time to check, but that they'd call us back. We notified the cars from Metro of the new developments and gave them the description of the boy. A check of the phone books for the name netted us nothing. Blatant prints were sent out to the home of Enid Blair to get the fingerprints of she and her husband. In checking over the empty glass found in the Blair home, besides the prints of Mr. and Mrs. Blair, Dean Bergman came up with a partial unidentified print. It was not enough for classification, but he told us that if we turned the burglar, he could tell us if we had the right man or not. 4:30 p.m. Frank and I cruised the area the burglar had been working in. We were in constant contact with the other 10 cars in the field.
Figure still working this neighborhood, Joe?
Well, we got no choice till we hear otherwise.
Funny about the Blair woman, isn't it? What? You know, turning the kid loose. Sure must have put on a show.
Yeah, sure. What time you got?
4:38. Got another hour and a half.
Frank?
Yeah, Joe.
Up ahead there in the corner?
Yeah, brown sweater could be. All right, let's go. He sees us making a break through that yard, though. Come on.
All right, hold it up there.
He isn't stopping.
What around that garage?
I'll try and head him off.
All right, watch it.
Joe, you see him?
No, we missed him someplace. Better get back to the car.
Right.
I'll call in here.
All right.
Unit 1K80 to Unit 2R1. Unit 1K80 to Unit 2R1. Come in, please.
2R1 to 1K80.
Suspect WMA, 17 to 19 years old, wearing tan trousers and brown and gold sweater, fleeing on foot. Last seen going east on Chalmers Drive at corner of Spalding Avenue. Please block at Chalmers and Hayworth. Repeat, please block at Chalmers and Hayworth.
Roger, 1K80.
Unit 2R7, come in, please.
Unit 2R7 to 1K80, go ahead.
You get the description all right?
Yeah.
Want to cover Barrows Drive and Hayes Street? Repeat, Barrows Drive and Hayes Street. Over.
Roger, 1K80.
Units 2R2, 2R3, 2R4, 2R5, and 2R6 converge on area adjacent to Chalmers and Spalding. Repeat, converge on corner of Chalmers and Spalding. Unit 2R20 will direct operations. 1K80 out. It's locked in. Let's fight. We knew the suspect was in the blockaded area. With the units from Metro Division blocking the street, there was no escape for him. Frank and I walked down Spalding Avenue. Down the street, we could see Unit 2R20 getting into position. Sergeant Masters was directing the operation from there. The search went on. 6:40 p.m. We still hadn't found him. At each house, we notified the people to be on the lookout for the suspect. In the event they saw him, they were instructed to call police headquarters. They, in turn, would contact Sergeant Masters and appropriate action could be taken. 7:10 p.m. We just about covered the entire area.
What do you figure, Joe? I could have gotten there. Got to be in here someplace. 2 more blocks to go, not much cover. Figured he hasn't been sitting still. He's probably been moving, too. Yeah. How about that garage back there? Let me check it. Big place, Joe. Looks like a workshop. Yeah. Wonder who it belongs to. Well, imagine that house over there, don't you? That's where the wire's laid. Wait a minute. Here, look at this. Broken padlock. This must be where he is. All right, easy. Ah, young fella, come on out. What do you think? Oh, there's no other door. Come on. All right, come on, boy. Give it up. We know you're in here. How about the lights, Joe? Yeah, I got them. Bigger inside than it looks. Dozen places he could be hiding. Yeah, you want to check over there, back of those lathes? I'll take this side. Right. No sign of him over here. How about you? No. How about that balcony up there? The wooden paint cans, see up there? Yeah. Somebody could hide up there. All right, I'll take a look. Take it easy, Joe. Yeah. All right, give it up, fella. You got no place to go. Watch it, Joe. The paint gets you. Let me go, Frank. Yeah, Joe, I got it. Get away. Get away. All right, watch it, Frank. I see. Ow! Right, come here, you.
I admit, I didn't mean to cut him. I told you to leave me alone. I told you.
All right, come on, get up, you. How about it, Frank? You all right? Oh, Joe, just a cut, isn't that? All right.
Let me go. I didn't mean it. I got scared. I didn't mean it. I don't know what I'll do if my family finds out.
Yeah, sure. You going to tell us about your sister, the one who was sick, and your drunken father?
Huh?
Well, are we going to get the full treatment here, the same one you gave Miss Blair?
She told you, huh?
Yeah, she told us. What's your name, boy?
Akins. Robert Akins. Guess you got me tagged for the jobs, huh?
Yeah, we got you tagged.
Lousy deal. I thought for sure I had her figured. Crummy deal all the way around. Never should have started it. All I got was a lot of cheap jewelry and a little money.
What do you mean, cheap jewelry? Our reports show you got a little better than 80,000.
80,000? That's a laugh. A lot of costume junk, little money. 80,000. Somebody's been giving you a snow job. What I didn't throw away, I still got. Cheap costume junk, that's all.
All right, Akins, let's go.
Yeah. Should have known not to trust that Blair woman. Should have known. I was caught before, you know, a couple of times.
All right?
Yeah, a couple of times. They let me go. Started to cry. Getting that story about my sister. They let me go. It was the crying that really did it, though. As soon as I started to boil, they turned me loose. Good gimmick, huh, crying?
Yeah, sure. Don't try it on the jury. It won't work.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent. Robert Charles Aiken was filed on and found guilty of 12 counts of second-degree burglary. He was released to the Youth Authority for parolement and possible rehabilitation. Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
I work for Anthony J. Lyon, International Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Wednesday at 9, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's story of The Little Man's Lament.
They called it Margate Mansion, but the name didn't fit. It was a pile of old cement and cracked stucco held up by a half a dozen tired palm trees. The people inside didn't fit either. A crusty old lady who talked backwards, a redhead with an urge to travel fast. But it was Junior who won first prize. He was half Einstein and half Hollywood playboy. Only when this boy played, it was with poison. It started on a Tuesday. I was headed down Taft Avenue on my way to the laundromat. I had a date with a washing machine and a blonde cashier named Gloria. That's when a cab pulled up beside me and the Lion hopped out. He was blowing sparks out of a fat cigar. I could tell by the 50-cent smell that we had a new client.
Oh, Jeffrey, my boy, I'm glad I caught you.
Get back in the cab, Fatso. I'm busy.
But I have to talk to you. I was just going up to your apartment.
Have a good time. I'll be out all day.
Now, Jeffrey, is that any way to talk after all I've done for you? After the many opportunities I've given you to help your fellow beings in distress?
I've worked 3 weeks without a rest. I gotta wash my socks.
Wash your socks? You can talk about a thing like that when I'm here to present you with a golden opportunity? An opportunity to demonstrate our humanitarian sentiments? A chance to lift one who's in trouble?
How much did you lift from him?
$100, and it's not a him, it's a her. Oh, it's really a simple job, Jeffrey. Very simple. I've just been over there. Lovely old house, fine old family. The Margates, flower of the old South.
Gone to see.
Well, yes. But you know how it is with descendants of old families. Fresh young growth choked back by the weeds of the old family stock. The fresh new plant smothered by decay and ruin.
Try Vigoro.
Regan, you don't seem to understand. We've been retained by Mrs. Margate. It's about her nephew, Hilary Margate. Strange youth, very strange youth indeed. If Mrs. Margate needs protection from him, I tell you, it's a very serious matter.
Well, so's my laundry.
Regan, will you listen to me?
There's another choice?
Yes. See Mrs. Margate, root out the facts.
Get her a gardener.
She doesn't need a gardener. She needs you, and don't give me any more trouble.
Okay, sweetheart. Here.
Wait a minute. What's it?
My laundry. Put the shirts and socks in a washing machine, put 2 bits in the slot. And stay away from the blonde. She doesn't like cigar smoke.
Regan, this means you will see Mrs. Margate?
Don't try to be coy. You knew I'd see her the minute you stepped out of that cab. I walked up Vine and turned right past Franklin. All the places up there are old, but Margate Mansion was old when William S. Hart was Gene Autry. A bunch of turrets made out of wood that termites wouldn't look at. But I was looking at what was standing in the front bay window looking at me. Red hair and wide eyes and a complexion like skim milk. She was what answered the door when I twisted the old-fashioned bell.
Hello. I saw you from the window.
Yeah, I saw you seeing me.
Come in. Come in, please.
Thanks.
I hope you don't mind the disorder. I'm afraid I don't. Your name?
Regan.
Oh. Sit here, Mr. Regan. Please don't mind the dust on the sofa. No one nice ever comes, so it doesn't matter. I like you. I want you to stay.
It shows.
You're not married or anything like that, Mr. Regan.
Nothing like that.
Oh, that's nice. I'm not married either, Mr. Regan.
I heard it was Mrs. Margate.
Oh, that's my aunt. I'm not married at all. Mr. Regan, you didn't just come to see my aunt.
I've got a lot of time.
Oh, I've been foolish again, haven't I? Oh, sometimes I get so mixed up. I'm...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait.
Yes, Mr. Regan.
What's your name?
Gwendolyn.
Mrs. Margate's niece.
Yes.
Hilary's your brother?
Yes, Mr. Regan. All those questions.
Business.
Business?
International Detective Bureau. Your aunt's on the line for $100 worth.
A detective?
Well, that's polite for it.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. You shouldn't have told me that at all.
Suppose you tell me some things.
I'm mixed up, Mr. Regan. I can't tell.
Gwendolyn.
It's my aunt.
Did I hear the front door bell?
Don't say anything. Don't tell her.
I did hear the front door. Well, Gwendolyn, who is this man?
Regan.
Regan? Oh, you're the man they call the Lion's Eye. I've been expecting you. I'm gardening.
I should have figured.
What? Oh, I have a green thumb, as they say. Follow me. Go to your room, Gwendolyn.
Yes, Auntie.
Gwendolyn?
Yes, Auntie, I'm going.
She went all right, like a rabbit at a greyhound race. Only I wasn't sure this rabbit could stay ahead of the dogs. But right then I had another problem, keeping up with Mrs. Margate. It wasn't the way she walked, it was her talk that winded me.
We'll go to the garden. My niece and my nephew have problems that weigh heavily on my heart, Mr. Regan. Oh, this way. Family collapsing and falling to ruin. Just 3 Margates left. Myself and the 2 children, Gwendolyn and Hillary. Only 52 years old with such responsibilities.
Hillary?
No, myself, of course. 52. But Hillary's the real problem. You follow me?
Right behind you.
What? Oh, yes, out this door. Oh, the garden. There. You see that pool by the date palm?
Uh-huh.
Fish. Calm, Mr. Regan. He concocts things. Hillary brews things, poisons. One day he fed something he had brewed to Hilary F. Margate, Sr., the cop, and he turned bright green.
Hillary?
The cop. We found him next morning floating belly up, stark bright green. Hilary F. Margate, Sr., the cop. We name our fish after the dear departed members of our family.
Nice custom.
Yes. Hilary poisoned the cop when he was only 146 years old.
The cart?
Yes. Come along. Hilary was only a boy at the time. Such a problem, Mr. Regan. Oh, here, my vegetable garden. Have an onion, Mr. Regan. Delicious.
Yeah. Look, Mrs. Margate.
Eat the onion, Mr. Regan. George! George is my gardener.
I'm over here, Mrs. Margaret.
Oh, well, you can go out back and cut the weeds, George. Mr. Regan and I have some private matters to discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, ma'am, George. Excellent. And be sure you get them all, George. We must be rid of the weeds.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am.
Now we're alone, Mr. Regan. The onion, go on, eat it. As I was saying, Hillary, that boy, such a problem.
Yeah, as you were saying.
Yes. Good, aren't they?
Mrs. Margate, what is it you want me to do?
Do? Well, I want you to look after Hillary.
I was told you wanted protection.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
No. Hillary needs a nursemaid. That's not our line.
No, see here, Mr. Regan. International Detective Bureau has already agreed to handle my case. Mr. Lyon himself accepted my check.
He'll accept anyone's check.
But he promised to help.
Well, then talk to him.
I'm talking to you. I'm explaining.
You're explaining nothing. You've given me a lot of double talk, and I have a feeling that's all you want to give me. Now, make sense.
All right. You're going to force me to say what I hoped never to say to anyone. Not anyone. My life is in danger.
I can believe that.
My tea. Yesterday, I noticed the odor of almonds.
I'm listening.
No, I didn't drink it naturally.
Naturally.
Hillary brewed that tea, Mr. Regan. My nephew.
Now you've said something. Where is he?
Ocean Park, the shooting gallery.
Shooting gallery?
Yes, he's strange, very strange. He brews things, collects guns, practices shooting. You won't like him.
Suppose I go talk to him.
Well, you'd better. As I've said, Mr. Regan, I don't wish to be murdered.
I headed the car down La Brea to Olympic and then out to the Ocean Park Pier. It was afternoon business, popcorn and sailor style. The shooting gallery had one customer, a kid in a corduroy sport coat with a face like a cantaloupe out of season. He was taking shots at the little swinging targets. You didn't need the family album to figure him for Hilary Margate. I walked over, but he didn't take the gun from his shoulder.
Leeks.
Come again?
Leeks. Scallions.
My name's Regan.
Allium ascalonicum, Mr. Regan. Onions. You've been eating them.
So?
This suggests you're the private detective hired by my aunt. Bullseye?
You read palms, too?
I fancy myself an amateur detective, Mr. Regan. I seldom miss.
I notice.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Regan, I'm interested in hiring you myself.
Oh, that's a switch.
I think there's going to be a murder.
Anybody I know?
Yes, my aunt.
Who plays the heavy?
The heavy?
Who's going to kill her?
I am.
Practicing?
I don't need practice, Mr. Regan.
Even experts get the chair.
Possibly.
All right, Junior, let's start making sense.
Very well, Mr. Regan. My aunt is a domineering autocrat. Actually, I should hate to kill her. But I feel I must. To protect myself, you understand.
From what?
You know, I dabble in poisons, Mr. Regan. I am empoisonné, as the French say. Poisoner. When I was 15...
I heard that one, yeah. Hilary F. Margate Sr., the carp.
Oh, he died a horrible death.
My regrets. Now, get to the point.
Ours is an evil household, Mr. Regan. The last of the Margates, a decaying race. My aunt, for example, and Gretelin.
I met her.
Then you understand that something must be done. This is an urgent matter, Mr. Regan. It would be wise to take my case.
One Margate for a client's too many.
Very well, Mr. Regan. But you want information. Perhaps I'll give it to you tomorrow. I'll phone you. As they say on the radio, you may save a life. Possibly your own.
It made a real funny joke the way he said it. Only I wasn't laughing. And neither was he. I got in my car and started for town to tell the lion he'd been underpaid. All the way in, I kept getting a picture of a mechanical rabbit going around a track. I tried putting Grethelin's face on it, and Mrs. Margate's, then Hilary's. The others didn't fit. Grethelin's did. I was still thinking about it when I parked on Hill Street and got out to walk. And that's when I put another face on the rabbit, my own. The guy who fell in behind me and started following was no greyhound, but he had squeaky shoes that slowed down when I slowed down. We stayed together for a block, and when I turned left toward the office, he turned left. I wondered if he was an amateur. I found out when I sidestepped into an alley and pulled him in after me. All right, Buster, this is where you get off.
Hey, say, what the devil?
Come on, who hired you?
Let me go.
Give me some answers.
Talk. You want muscles, huh? Muscles? All right. I got him.
He had him all right, and he knew where to use him. He had a bald head, and he used that, too, right in the middle of my stomach. I shouldn't have bent double, but I did. It was a setup. The next blow sent me around the fender of a truck parked in the alley. I went to my knees. When I came up, it was too late. The bald head was gone. But someone else was there.
Mr. Regan.
It was Gwethelyn Margate.
Mr. Regan, you should be careful. You all right?
He was following me.
No, Mr. Regan, no, he wasn't. I was going to your office. He was following me.
She was ready to talk, but the fog in my head wouldn't let me listen. I got her around the corner into a bar. She waited until the waiter brought the drinks.
2 Bourbon Street, Mr. Regan. And if I may say so, this is a lovely tomato you're escorting into my humble palate.
You said so.
And may I say, Mr. Regan, I'm also partial to redheads. On account of my first love was a redhead. She played second flute in our orchestra.
Sure. Keep the change.
That was when I was with Stokowski. The Hollywood Bowl, how well I remember. Me and my fiddle. We made together beautiful music. Me and the fiddle, you understand, not the redhead. She gave me nothing but the cold shoulder on account she was hot for a guy that played bass.
Come on, you told me this story yesterday.
You don't wish to hear the story of my life, Mr. Regan? Well, it was the same way with Mr. Stokowski. The artist is lost in the world of today.
All right. Now we can talk.
I don't know, Mr. Regan.
Who was following you?
It doesn't matter. I'm used to it, Mr. Regan.
Who was the mug?
It doesn't matter, Mr. Regan. It's too late anymore. I thought...
You thought what?
I thought you'd help me, Mr. Regan. I was on my way to your office.
Why?
There's going to be trouble, Mr. Regan. Serious trouble.
What says so?
Everything. Hillary, my aunt, they're all acting so strangely. And those people who come to the house.
People? Who?
I don't know. The man who was following me is one of them. Oh, something strange is going on, Mr. Regan. Something terrible.
You still haven't told me anything.
Don't you see? It isn't anything I can tell you. It's a feeling. A terrible feeling. Everything's wrong.
I've got to have facts, lady.
I don't... Wait. There's one thing.
Yeah?
The gardener. Mr. Hendricks.
George?
Yes. My aunt knows him, Mr. Regan. Better than just a gardener. Something else.
What?
George has been in prison. I know he's been in prison. I heard him say something once on the telephone.
To who?
I don't know. There's so much I don't know.
That makes 2 of us.
You don't believe me. You've got to believe me. Something terrible's going to happen.
Sure. Hillary's going to kill your aunt.
Hillary? Oh, no. That's not it at all. It's me they're going to kill, don't you see? They're going to kill me.
After that, I couldn't get anything out of it that made sense. I loaded her in a cab and then walked over to Pershing Square to feed the pigeons. Maybe something would come to me. Nothing did, except the pigeons. After a while, I went over to the Examiner morgue to look up George Hendricks. There was nothing, not a word. But the Lion has ways of finding those things out, so I went back to the office. The Lion had information, all right, but not the kind I expected.
Regan, where have you been? I've been calling every saloon in the city.
You got the wrong one.
I often wonder why I hired you.
Okay, Fatso, why the steam?
I'll tell you why. Because you were supposed to be on the Margate case, that's why.
What do you think I've been doing?
I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to get out to Margate Mansion right now and fast. They just found Hillary Margate in his room. He's been shot through the head.
This is CBS, and you're listening to The Story of the Little Man's Lament. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Here's a special word for those of you who are interested in setting up a retirement fund. One that will permit you to have some of the good things of life before you're too old to enjoy them. Join the payroll savings plan where you work and invest in United States savings bonds. Under this plan, your firm sets aside whatever sum you name from each paycheck and uses the money to buy savings bonds for you. Buy United States bonds and keep them. And now, back to tonight's story of the Little Man's Lament and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Nothing made sense. There were 3 Margates. The old lady, her nephew Hillary, and his sister, Gwethelyn. And all 3 of them wanted to hire me to stop a murder. Then the Lion tells me Hillary Margate has just been shot. Well, one thing was sure. With 3 people to work for, one of them was bound to turn up dead. I put the Lion to work looking up the gardener, George Hendricks. Then I hopped in the car and headed out to the Margate place off Franklin Avenue. By the time I got there, it was turning dark. Out front, a black and white Nash said, "Police," in big letters. But when the old lady opened the door, she acted as though she'd never heard of police.
Oh, Mr. Regan, please come in. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet him. Hillary, strange boy.
I met him.
You did? Oh, this way, Mr. Regan. Well, it's no matter. It was inevitable. Hillary's uncle, my husband, before he died, warned me something like this would happen. He was a young fool, Hillary.
How did it happen?
Happen? Oh, with a gun, of course. How else could one shoot oneself except with a gun? In here, Mr. Regan, we won't be bothered by them. Sometimes police can be so nosy. Do sit down. We shall have tea.
With or without almonds?
I know what you're thinking, Mr. Regan, but I'm sure it had nothing to do with it.
What did?
Just a moment, Mr. Regan. There's someone at our door. Well, Gwethelyn?
I was just coming to see you, Andy. I thought you'd want me to tell Mr. Regan about Hillary.
Yes, a good idea. Mr. Regan, I'll let Gwethelyn tell you. She was here at the time. Oh, she was a lovely woman. Gwethelyn's mother, my late sister. Well, go ahead, child. Go ahead.
I got home about 5.
Better sit down, child. No, I'm not there. Here.
Yes, Auntie. Well, Mr. Regan, Hillary was in the gun room reading. I went in to talk to him, but he ordered me out of the room. He said he didn't want to be disturbed. He was concentrating.
Go on.
I left the room. A couple of minutes later, I heard a shot. When I went back, he was there. Hillary. On the floor, dead.
Then you called the police.
I told Auntie. She called them.
They've been so nice, the police. They promised not to disturb me any more than necessary. Wasn't that nice?
They're in his room now?
With Hillary. Dear Hillary.
Yeah, you won't need me anymore. I think I'd better be going.
Oh, yes, of course. Gwethelyn, see Mr. Regan to the door like a good girl.
Yes, honey.
And come again sometime soon, Mr. Regan. We shall have tea together.
Thanks.
This way, Mr. Regan. Mr. Regan, I've got to talk to you this way quickly.
What's on your mind?
About Hillary. Something he did tonight.
Like what?
When he came home, Before that, he had a book. A big book. He was reading it when it happened. Why would he read a book and then shoot himself?
You got me. What was the title?
I don't know. But when the police came, the book was gone.
Where did he buy it?
I don't know that either. But I'm sure it's important, Mr. Regan. I'm sure of it. You don't think it's important?
I don't know. I reach for answers. Sometimes they come up air.
I know something else, Mr. Regan. It's about George. George Hendricks, our gardener.
Yeah?
He disappeared this afternoon after it.
Go on.
Auntie sent for him when the police arrived, but he wasn't in his room. The police were angry. They think he might have done it.
And you think so, too?
I'm not sure, Mr. Regan. I'm not sure of anything now.
She turned and ran into the house and left me with a lot of night air and cool breeze. If Hendricks had taken a powder, the police would check that angle. That left me with a book. A very big book. I walked down Franklin toward my car. Up ahead, I saw a small man in a black suit locking up a shop door. Over his head, a sign said Franklin Avenue Bookshop. That did it. I caught him before he closed up.
I beg your pardon.
You know a Hillary Margate lives up the street?
Yes, I know him. Why?
Was he in today?
He's a regular customer.
Was he in? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did he buy a book?
No.
You sure?
Positive. He asked for a volume we didn't have.
What volume?
I don't remember the title because we didn't have it in stock. It was a textbook.
Textbook?
Yes, on horticulture. Plants.
Plants?
Does that mean something to you?
Yeah. It could explain why the Margate family has gone to seed. It was crazy, but it was beginning to untangle. I headed for my car up the street. Before I touched the starter, I found out I had company.
All right, Regan, drive.
The gun in my back told me he meant it. One look in the mirror told me he was George Hendricks. Well, you're calling him. Where to?
Your apartment. I want to talk. Have a chair, Regan. It's your house.
Thanks.
I talk. You sit and listen.
I can stand.
I say sit down.
It's your party, Hendricks.
There's been an accident at the Margate house.
I heard.
Hillary shot himself.
That right?
You think different?
Changed my mind.
I didn't kill him, Regan.
Who said you did?
I never could get used to confinement.
Oh. San Quentin?
Sandstone, Minnesota.
Tell me more.
Listen, Regan, the police don't like guys with a record.
What was your rap, Hendricks?
Checks, something like that. Forgery.
So why tell me?
You're moving in my direction, Regan. I don't like it.
Is that why you ran?
There's something else.
Yeah?
The name. It isn't Hendricks. It's Margate.
What's that?
Freehold Quincy Margate.
No wonder you changed it.
There were several reasons.
Yeah, Old South family.
Listen, Regan, you gotta believe me. I didn't kill Hillary. I didn't have anything to do with it.
You know a big guy, bald head with a stupid face?
Morley. He works at the Margate place part-time.
What's his job?
Flunky. He works in the garden with me.
When he isn't tailing the girl.
Leave me out of that part of it.
Well, do I answer that?
Yes, but watch what you say.
Regan.
Regan, I expected to hear from you sooner. What's happened to you? Regan, are you there?
Yeah, just got here.
What's the matter? Someone with you?
You're a genius.
Well, I just found out about Hendricks.
You guessed it.
You mean he's there?
Go on.
Listen, that's not his real name, Regan. He's a Margate. Freehold Quincy Margate. Age 46, height 5'11", weight 180.
Get to the point.
Well, about that prison record, quite correct. It was 8 years ago. Charge?
Narcotics violation.
Well, yes, but be careful. He'll hear you.
No, he won't. He just went out the door, fast. I had what I needed. I averaged 50 down Franklin and pulled up in front of the Margate place 10 minutes later. It was dark and it looked empty, like a beer can after a picnic. I found an open window and crawled in. It was the gun room, and that meant I didn't have to go much farther. But somebody changed my mind for me when the door suddenly opened, and a hunk of orange lightning stabbed in my direction. I ducked and the chair next to me toppled over. I couldn't wait for the next one.
Let me go!
Drop it.
You're hurting my...
That's better. Now some lights.
Mr. Regan, I thought you were one of them.
I'm not. That book Hillary was reading. What? I'm in a hurry, baby.
You already know, don't you, Mr. Regan? All right. I didn't see it closely. It had pictures of plants.
Like the ones in your backyard?
Yes. I didn't know what it meant until...
Until Hillary got it, and then you were too scared to talk. Why?
Mr. Regan, Hillary didn't poison my aunt's tea. They only said he did so they could kill me and then blame him for it. That way they'd be rid of both of us.
Yeah, but Hillary caught on too quick.
That's why they killed him, Mr. Regan. Oh, don't let them know I know.
It won't matter now, baby. I circled around the house in a hurry. Empty. Then I tried the garden. That's when I saw it. 50 yards behind the house. A strange light at first, then something red that began to grow. Then smoke and more smoke. I ran to the back of the garden in the flames. She saw me coming.
Stand back, Mr. Regan.
Maybe tomorrow, Mrs. Margate.
I warn you, Regan. Stand back.
You hired me, remember?
Take one more step, Mr. Regan, and Morley will kill you.
You figured he'd be around? Put that gun down, Morley. The smoke's getting in your eyes.
No. Shoot him, Morley. Shoot him.
You're too late for that. I drove across the column of smoke and caught his arm as he tried to find me with that gun. I got to him first. I owed him something for what he'd given me in that alley, and I paid him back with interest. The old lady just stood there and glared at me, the fire reflecting in her eyes. It took me 10 minutes and my best sport coat to stop the blaze. But the price was cheap, because where the fire had been was a nice pile of Exhibit A. It looks just like an ordinary plant, but the police call it marijuana. Somebody spotted the smoke and called the fire department. The police were right behind them and loaded the last of the Margates into the wagon. And it was like Gweth said. She was scheduled to turn up poison, and I was supposed to testify that Hillary had done it. Only Hillary caught on too fast, and they gave him a bullet for his trouble. And after I finished up at headquarters, I went to the office and filled the lion in. He was disappointed.
And this fella the police picked up at the depot, this Hendricks, he wasn't the culprit we were looking for?
He was under the old lady's thumb like the rest of the family. She blackmailed him into growing the stuff. With his record, he couldn't afford to squawk.
He couldn't afford to squawk. How do you think I feel?
You got a check for $100, didn't you?
Well, yes, I did.
She did pay you, didn't she?
Well, you see, Jeffrey, that is, she gave me a check when I first went out there for $100.
You said that.
Well, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but... well, you see, her brother-in-law...
You mean...
Well, that is, Hendricks did have a prison record for narcotics violation, but, well, it seems upon examining the records more closely, there was an earlier sentence for,
bad checks.
Yes. It seems to run in the family.
I don't get paid this week.
Go on. Quit me. Kick a man when he's down.
Oh, stop it.
You know I never withhold payment when I have it. Right now I don't have it. Maybe next week.
If you wait 2 weeks, it'll be Thanksgiving.
What's that mean?
You can have the end of the turkey I've been getting.
Jeffrey, you're not being kind. Remember my heart.
I'll try.
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Now, here's 25 cents.
For what?
Go over and pick up your laundry. I forgot to wait for it.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and William Fifield, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Wednesday at 9 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet. Ladies and gentlemen,
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. You've just rounded up a vicious gang of thieves. The heavy man is still at large. Your job? Get him. Hello, this is George Fenneman. I want to talk to you about the cigarette that's really on the move. The one everyone's talking about and trying. Chesterfield. First cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield King Size is exactly the same quality and exactly the same blend of tobacco as Chesterfield regular size. There's absolutely no difference, except that King Size Chesterfield is larger, contains considerably more of the same tobaccos. So much more it gives you a 21% longer smoke, yet costs very little more. And Chesterfield King Size contains better tobaccos and is of higher quality than any other King Size cigarette. So, sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like them, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, March 6th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 2:46 p.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery. Frank?
Yeah, Joe?
How about those subpoenas?
Took them down to the Warren office. They're going to serve them.
Oh, fine. All the follow-ups made, packages in order. That about wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, all but Bentley.
Yeah, nothing from Mac yet.
No, he said he'd call as soon as he heard anything.
Yeah, be happy when we get him, won't you? He's probably the worst of the lot.
Yeah. Well, according to what Mac said, he's in real trouble now. Broke. None of his friends will have anything to do with him. We'll turn him.
I don't think I'll ever understand a guy like Bentley. What makes a man want to beat somebody just for the sake of beating him?
Figure that we'll have it made.
32 robberies, and just about every one Bentley's got to work over at least one of the victims. It's pretty vicious.
Now we get him this time he's through. Probably knows it, too. Even when Mac blows the whistle, probably going to be rough to take. Joe, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm happy it's over. Let's face it, we were lucky on this one. The guys were gun happy. Taking any longer to get him, they'd have killed somebody, sure.
Maybe so.
Well, on my next day off, I'm going to do nothing but sit, not make a move. My feet are killing me.
Yeah, we had a lot of legwork on this one.
Not just this one, Joe, all of them. I was reading in the magazine the other day about a new kind of arch support. I got to get me a pair of them.
Yeah?
According to the ad, these are going to be just a ticket. Some new kind of rubber, soft when they mold it to your feet. Place back in Wisconsin.
How'd they do it? They got a place here in L.A.?
No, just a home office. Just a small place, I guess. According to the ad, the whole process pretty new.
Yeah, well, how do you get this? What is it, a mold?
Yeah. You stand on a piece of paper, hold a bucket of water in each hand. You know, you put all your weight on your feet.
Yeah.
And you draw the outline of your foot on the paper. They make the arch thing up from there.
Well, if you're holding a bucket of water in each hand, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you use the pencil?
What?
Well, a bucket of water in each hand, how are you going to draw?
Yeah.
I get it. Robbery Friday. Oh, hi, Faye. Yeah, he's here. Oh, how are the kids? Oh, yeah, sure, I'll put him right on. Frank, for you. Your wife seems upset.
Thanks, Joe. Hello, honey. Yeah? Hi, Campbell, what's up? Well, can't you tell me now? Well, why not? All right, honey, I'll be right there. Don't worry now. Goodbye.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
I don't know. Faye wants me to come right home. Says something's going on.
Couldn't she tell you about it on the phone?
No, said something about the phone being tapped.
We went down to the carpool and started over for Frank's house. For the past 3 months, we'd been working on a case involving a gang that had been operating in the city. During that time, they'd committed 32 armed robberies, and in most instances, they'd beaten their victims for no apparent reason. Their ruthless attitude was the most outstanding single point of their M.O. We'd successfully rounded up all members of the gang with one exception, Leroy Bentley, alias the Bull. Bentley was the known heavy man of the gang. In order to successfully prosecute and apprehend any criminal or criminals, the police officer requires the fullest measure of cooperation and assistance that he can obtain from many people, the private citizen and his own associates as well. From the ranks of the private citizen comes one important aid, the informant. The working detective knows that in many cases his most valuable assistance can often come from his informant. In this particular case, we'd received information that would lead us to Bull Bentley within a matter of days. 3:22 p.m. We arrived at Frank's home.
I'm glad you're home, honey. I'm awfully worried. Oh, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
What's the trouble now? What's this all about this phone being tapped?
Well, that's what he said.
Who?
The man who called.
All right, now, honey, can you tell me what this is all about?
I got a phone call just before I called you. It was a man. Said his name was Bull Bensler of Bentley. I didn't get it. He said that you thought you were a smart cop, but if you didn't lay off him, he was going to take care of you where it had hurt the most. He threatened the children and me, too. Well, Frank, I don't know what to do.
Go on.
He said the phone was tapped and we were being watched. Said to tell you he wasn't kidding. He didn't have anything to lose. He sounded real mean. I'm frightened. Do you know this man, Frank?
Oh, he is, yeah. We have a warrant for his arrest.
Say, where are the kids?
Well, Stacy's in her room playing. I called the school for Mike. The teacher said she dismissed the class. He should be home by now. Frank, I don't know. I'm worried about him.
All right, lock the doors. Don't open for anybody. Joe and I will go out and see if we can find Mike.
All right, I'm worried sick about him. He should have been home 20 minutes ago.
I'll go and call the captain, Frank. Ask him to send a couple of men out, huh?
Thanks, Joe.
Don't worry about it, Trey. 2511, please. Yeah, Robert. Oh, Glenn, Captain there? There's Friday. I'd like to talk to him. Skipper, this Friday, I'm out at Frank's house. Frank Smith, yeah. Bull Bentley called his wife, threatened her and the kids if he didn't lay off. No, said if he didn't lay off. Well, could you send a couple of men out to stand by? Fine. Mike isn't home from school yet, and Frank's his little boy. Frank and I are going out to look for him. Yeah, I said he'd be watching the house. Who? Yeah, swell. All right, we'll be in as soon as we find the boy. Right, Skipper. O'Donnell and Stewart from the office will be out, Faye. They'll park the car down the street. Watch for him and let him in, won't you?
All right, Joe. What about it, Frank? You going to lay off this guy?
You want me to?
Please find little Mike.
All right, honey. We'll find him. Well, lock the door and don't open it for anyone but O'Donnell and Stewart when they get here.
All right, dear.
Now, don't worry, huh, honey? We'll find him.
Yeah.
Let's go. Joe, what do you think?
I don't know.
Tell you one thing.
Yeah?
I'm scared.
There are two types of criminals that can be counted on to be dangerous. The youngster who becomes easily panicked at the scene of a crime, and the older criminal who will do anything rather than go back to the penitentiary. Bull Bentley was one of these. We knew that he was more than capable of carrying out his threat. His record was one of armed robbery, vicious beatings, and kidnapping. At this particular time, he was wanted for murder in the state of Colorado. The average criminal will blame anyone but himself for his predicament, usually the police officer, and this was so in Bentley's case. He apparently thought that by getting us off his trail, he could go free. Frank and I searched the area around the house. We found his little boy in a vacant lot 2 blocks from school playing with a group of youngsters. We put him in the car and returned him to his home. Stewart and O'Donnell were at Frank's house and said they'd stay there until they were relieved. 4:36 p.m. Frank and I checked back into the office.
Smith, Friday, in here.
Right.
Come on in. Find the boy?
Yeah, Skipper, out playing with some of the kids in the neighborhood.
All right. Now, what's this all about?
Well, this bunch we just cleaned up?
Yeah.
Bull Bentley called Frank's wife and told her that if Frank didn't lay off of him, he was going to get to him through his family.
What do you plan to do?
Oh, no choice. Get him before he can do anything, I guess.
Frank? Yes, Skipper. You like to be taken off this assignment? No, it's a personal matter. It's up to you. Let's see that your house is covered when you're not home. You keeping the boy away from school? Yeah, Captain, until this thing's over. You got any ideas where you can pick Bentley up?
Well, we've covered all the places he's known to hang out.
Want any help? No, not right now. Just find him fast. Well, you know he's in town. Figure he's going to stay here? Well, we don't think he's got much choice. We figure he's broke, he's hot. None of his friends will take a chance on putting him up. He's going to need money. Better cover the bus depots, train depots, alert the airport detail. Get a couple of 100 mugs printed up on him. Distribute them to the beat men and radio cars. Contact Captain Hamilton, Intelligence. He might be able to come up with something.
Our informant said he could turn Bentley for us in a week.
A week's a long time, Joe.
I know.
You've covered all his hangouts.
All of them. Nobody's seen him in a couple of days. Just seemed to drop out of sight.
Big town, a lot of people. Sometimes you don't realize how big till you start looking for one man.
Yeah.
Want to get in touch with the boys in the press room, give them the story, see if they'll carry Bull's picture. See Jack Ricketts, he'll put the picture on suspects wanted. We'll get started on it right now. You got a silent number, haven't you, Frank? Yeah, it's unlisted. How'd Bentley get it? It had to come from somewhere. Joe and I were talking about that. You know pretty much who we'd give the numbers out to. About the only one we can figure to be in a position to give it to Bentley is Harry McLeod. Your informant? Yeah. How long since you've heard from this McLeod?
A couple of days.
Figure maybe he'd cross you, throw in with Bentley?
Well, it's possible. I don't think so, though. He's leveled with us so far.
The number had to come from someplace.
Yeah, well, it sure makes it look like McLeod, doesn't it?
I don't think Mac would give the number away on his own.
Both could get it. We got 32 people to prove it.
Well, we better get on this thing. Come on, Frank.
Right. Check you later, Skipper. Joe, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, don't worry. We'll get to him.
No, I mean, this two-bit thief calling Faye, threatening her.
Try to take it easy. I know how you feel.
Why me, Joe? Bull Bentley's brushed up against 100 different cops in his day. Why me?
Law of averages, I guess. You were handy.
I knew just what to do.
Well, Skipper gave you a choice. If you'd like to go home, nobody'd blame you.
You don't know what it is, Joe. You don't have a family. Something like this can split you in two. Half of you wants to be on the job. The other half is pulling you toward home. Joe, if that cheap punk steps to my front porch, I'm going to lean on him hard.
Now, look, Frank, this isn't going to get us anyplace. Let's get over to the photo lab and get this thing moving, huh?
I could just figure it. 4,000 guys in the department, and Bentley has to pick me. Joe, why me?
All right, look, Frank. I could try to spell it for you 100 ways, and we still wouldn't come out with any kind of a total. I know what you must be going through, and I'm sorry it's got to be you. I'm sorry it has to be any cop. You're right about me not having a family, but it's squeezing me just as hard as it is you. You and I both knew when we filled out those application blanks what we were taking on. The job, Frank. Maybe I never told you before. Maybe you've been through this, too. I don't know. There isn't a day goes by that I'm on the job here that I don't run into something that breaks my heart. Why did Ed Wilson have to get shot down when he and his partner tried to take that guy out of that rooming house over on 8th Street? Why did Olson and his partner have to end up in the P&F ward last week? Why do you have to run the gamut of every human emotion class of people on earth? Poor to rich, it's all the same. Somebody picks up a gun to knock over the corner gas station, everything hangs in the balance. The minute that thief slips a cartridge into his gun, the gas station attendant, his family, his kids, and every relative he's got slides right onto the short end. Everybody seems to think that wherever crime is concerned, they never get any closer to it than the front page of the morning paper. I know you know this, Frank. For every attempted crime, God only knows how many innocent people are thrown into the balance even before the crime's been committed. That's the way it is, Frank. I'm not trying to tell you anything you don't know, but the minute you passed that exam, you had to make book that something like this could contaminate you just as surely as if you weren't a cop. I guess it's almost a legacy. Nobody's found a vaccine for crime. Nobody's immune. And it's worse with you and me because we know better than to think we can't be touched. We know we can. We invite it every time we roll on a call, every time we pick somebody up, every time a guy gets out of line. It's a job, Frank. I didn't mean to give you an academy lecture, but if it's any comfort, I'm with you. I know just how you feel, and so do 4,000 other guys right down here.
Yeah. I guess maybe we better get moving, huh?
Yeah, come on. We took the mugshot of Bentley to the photo lab and asked them to run off 200 copies. We checked with the reporters in the press room, and they promised us full cooperation. Jack Ricketts told us that he'd put the picture on the air the next day. Frank called home and found that there'd been no further calls from Bentley. 6:17 p.m. We started to look for Harry McLeod, our informant. We checked his hotel, but the clerk told us he hadn't been in all afternoon. We started checking his known hangouts. In fear of burning McLeod, we were unable to ask for him by name, which made it necessary for us to canvass each individual place. 9:28 p.m. We located McLeod in a small bar that was known to be frequented by thieves. We walked over to the bar and sat down next to him. We ordered a drink. At the first opportunity, without arousing suspicion, we told McLeod we wanted to talk to him and that we'd meet him down the street, 2 blocks west. We left the bar, got in the car, and drove to the meeting place. 20 minutes later, McLeod arrived, got in the back seat, and we drove away.
Want to get the radio, Joe?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you guys? I told you I'd get in touch with you and I had something for you. You trying to get me burned?
Take it easy, Mac. Just a couple of things we want to know.
Well, I'm on your side. You guys know that. I've always leveled with you, haven't I?
Yeah.
Well, then what's this bit? You walk into that joint, you know what goes on in there, and you pull me out. Good chance somebody could have seen you, you know.
Yeah, we know, Mac. Have you seen Bentley?
No, I told you I'd let you know when I turned him.
Now, don't snow us, Mac. This is important. Have you seen him?
If I saw him, I'd have called you. You know that, don't you? I'd have called you guys. I told you once I'd finger him for you. I haven't called. I haven't seen him. It's that simple. What's the big rush about getting Bentley, anyway? He ain't going nowhere.
Now, look, Mac, we got a personal interest in this thing. This isn't just robbery. Bull's been calling Frank's wife, saying he was going to kill her and the kid. You know he'd do it. Now, how about it?
I didn't know it was like that. Bull's mean enough to do it,
Well, that's how it is. Now, I'll ask you once more. Have you seen him?
Yeah.
When?
Day before yesterday, Sunday morning. Saw him down Marty's.
How come you didn't call us?
I couldn't, honest, I couldn't. He came in and asked me for some dough. I told him I didn't have any. I tried to stall him till I could get to a phone.
Yeah?
Didn't work. He wouldn't wait. Got mad when I couldn't help him out.
You say anything about a meet?
Just said he'd get in touch with me.
Yeah.
He was real sore when I couldn't let him have any dough, but I told him, I said, look, Bull, you know I want to help, but I just hadn't got it. That's what I said.
Yeah?
Wasn't kidding either. Things been pretty rough. Say, you guys couldn't see your way clear, could you? Sawbuck, you tied me over, huh?
Well, you got me at the wrong time, Mac. I'm tapped.
How about you, Smith?
Well, if you gotta have it, I got $10 I've been saving for a pair of shoes.
I sure appreciate it. You guys know that.
Yeah, we know. You got any idea how Bull might have gotten Frank's home phone?
No, not the slightest.
You sure you didn't give it to him?
Joe, you've known me for a lot of years. Would I do a thing like that after the way you guys treated me?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, Mac.
I should get a little insulted at that. You guys figuring that
Oh,
about
now
me.
come off it, Mac. Did you give him the number?
No, I swear to you I didn't.
All right. You got any ideas where Bull might be hiding?
Not in particular. Check the usual places?
Yeah, we looked through them all.
And you know as much as I do. He did say he looked me up in a couple of days.
You see where he was going when he left you?
No, just walked out of Marty's. I saw a friend of his yesterday, though.
Yeah.
The guy said he'd seen Bull Sunday night.
Say what he wanted?
Money. Said he'd try to tap him for some dough to get out of town.
His friend help him?
He didn't give him any money. He gave him something else, though.
Yeah.
He gave him a gun.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Just as Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette to tell you what it's made of. Yes, Chesterfield names all its ingredients, so you'll know what gives you the best possible smoke. The world's best tobaccos, pre-tested by laboratory instruments for the most desirable smoking qualities. Pure, costly moistening agents, costly glycerol and pure sugars which are natural to tobacco, and cigarette paper of the highest purity, the best that money can buy. That's what's in your Chesterfield. Ingredients that give you the best possible smoke. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste, and, as confirmed by a well-known research organization, no unpleasant aftertaste. So sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like 'em, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Before we left Mac, he furnished us with the name of the man who'd given the gun to Bull Bentley. We recognized the name Dave Slater as a small-time hoodlum who'd do anything to make a dollar as long as he himself was reasonably safe in doing it. Mac told us of several places where we might find him. The most likely place was a pool room on North Main Street. Slater had numerous arrests, most of them for being drunk and for acting as a lookout for gambling games. He was a type of thief that can be found in every large city, always on the fringe of criminal operations, but never directly involved in the crime itself. We checked several of the places Mac told us about, but we couldn't come up with Slater. We checked the pool room. The manager was evasive and at first appeared reluctant to talk. We informed him that we knew Slater would be back and that we'd wait for him. The manager asked us to come to the back room with him. He told us that Slater had said that he was going down to the all-night hamburger stand on the corner to get something to eat. We found Slater sitting at the counter.
Call it a string of hamburger, all I can see is a bun. I'd be ashamed to sell a thing like this lousy deal, 35 cents for nothing.
Slater?
Yeah, well, something you want?
Police officer, Slater. We want to talk to you.
What about?
Bull Bentley.
Bentley? Never heard of him. We got information you do know him pretty well. Yeah? You tell your pigeon he's lying. I never heard of the guy. Now, let me finish eating.
We want to talk to you, Slater. You want to make it here, or would you rather go downtown?
Can't you see I'm eating? Now, let me finish. I got nothing to tell you. I don't know any Bull Bentley. Now, lay off, huh? Come on, you can think better than an empty stomach, Slater. Let's go.
Frank and I took Slater out of the restaurant and put him in the car. Once he was in custody, his attitude changed completely. He said he wanted to help us, but that he didn't know Bull Bentley. 10:44. We got back to the city hall.
I want to stop by the office, Joe. Call home.
All right, I'll be in the interrogation room. You tell us, Skipper.
Yeah.
Come here, Slater.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Sure. Look, I told you I want to help you guys out, but honest, I don't know anything. If I did, I'd let you know.
All right, come off it, Slater. Where's Bentley?
Look, I keep telling you, I don't know any Bentley.
Where are you living now?
Solly Hotel, West Fifth.
How long you been there?
A couple of days.
You working now?
Yeah, a little. Odd job now and then. You know, nothing steady.
What do you call an odd job, Slater?
Oh, you know, sweep out the pool room, rack the balls for him.
Yeah, sure. Now, look, we've known you for 8 years. You never worked a day in that time. Now, how about Bentley? We got a personal interest in him. We want him. We want him bad.
Look, I tell you, I don't know any Bentley.
Anything new?
Yeah, Joe, he called a couple more times tonight. Last time at 10:30, scared Fay half to death.
Yeah.
Said he knew Mike was home. He knew we were looking for him. Said if we don't stop, it'll get to the kids. Said it didn't matter how many cops we had around the house, he'd get to him. Fay's almost hysterical. O'Donnell called the doctor.
Yeah.
How about Slater? He come up with anything?
No, still says he doesn't know him.
Doesn't know him, huh? Listen, Punk, that's you and me get straightened out. What happens to me is one thing. What happens to my family is another. They don't pay me enough money to jeopardize my family. Now, you get this straight. When punks like you and your trigger-happy friends can threaten my family, then something's got to give, and it's not going to be me.
Yeah, but I told you.
Look, wipe that silly grin off your face, Slater. You feel nice and safe there, don't you? You know, as long as you're in custody, we got to take care of you. Well, maybe you'd like to know that if I have to, I'll take this badge off and walk up one side of you and down the other. Now, I want to know where Bentley is, and I want to know now. We're not stumbling around in the dark. We know you gave him a gun. Let me tell you this, mister. Mark it down. If anything happens to my wife or my kids, you can't run fast enough to get away, because I'll nail you hard.
All right, Frank.
He's getting pretty tough, isn't he?
Just telling you how you stand. Now, come on. Where's Bentley?
I told you, I don't know Bentley.
All right. Let's get everything out of your pockets. Get it on the table.
Well, there's nothing much. Here, change, keys, and a nail file, address book, my handkerchief, comb, wallet, cigarettes, and matches. That's all.
You want to shake him down, Frank?
Yeah.
I told you that's all. Now, what are you looking for?
Now, push your luck, Slater. It's clean, Joe.
How much money you got in your wallet?
I don't know, double sawbuck, maybe?
The funny thing, you guys never work, but you always got money. All right, take the money out and count it, Slater.
Why? What's that going to prove?
Take it out and count it.
All right. 10, 20, 25, 26, 27, 37, another 5. $42. I didn't know I had that much.
All right. Put the money in your pocket.
That all the money in your wallet?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's see the wallet.
Here. Nothing in it. A couple of cards, that's all.
Yeah. Let's see here. A couple of pawn tickets. Picture. Who's the girl?
Babe I met in Dago. You don't know her. She's not in the rackets. Married now. I haven't seen her in a year.
Now, why are you carrying her picture?
Always kind of liked her. She had class. Real nice broad.
You said you didn't know Bull Bentley?
That's what I said.
How about Leroy Bentley?
Nah.
You know anybody at all named Bentley?
Look, I told you I don't know any Bentley. How many times do I have to tell you?
You know anybody by the name of Bull?
I don't know anybody named Bull. I don't know anybody named Bentley.
Yeah. Take a look, Joe.
Now, maybe you can explain this then.
Yeah, what's that?
Bar tab in your wallet. Name Bull written on it. How about it, Slater? Who's Bull?
I don't remember that. Probably something I picked up a long time ago. I don't remember it.
Tab's dated March 4th. Day before yesterday. Your memory must be getting pretty bad, huh?
I got nothing to say.
Well, Frank, you want to check the business office and see who this number is listed to?
Yeah, Joe, right away.
All right, fine. I'm going to tell you something, boy. This is a rotten deal. The law protects people like you. You're lying. We know it, and you know it, too. You know Bentley. You know where he is. What's more, we know you gave him a gun Sunday night, the same date on that tab. I'll tell you what we're going to do, Slater. You're a real wise guy. You talk fast. We're going to get Bull. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but we'll get him. And when we do, we're going to tell him that you blew the whistle on him. We're going to put him in the same cell with you. I'd like to hear you talk your way out of that.
Well, you wouldn't do that.
Don't make book on it.
Look, he's a mean guy. He'll kill me.
Thought you didn't know him.
All right, so I know. But you wouldn't do that. Would you put me in with him?
Where is he, Slater?
You going to tell him I turned him in?
We're making no deals. Where is he?
I don't know where he is now.
You know where he'll be?
Yeah, I was supposed to meet him there tonight at the bar down on West 7th. He's got a friend who works there, feeds him.
He'll be there tonight, huh?
Yeah, I said if I'd meet him, he'd pay me for the gun, $75.
What kind of gun is it?
A 38. A good one, too. Worth more than $75, but I needed the money.
Where'd you get the gun?
Well, you'll find out anyway. I might as well tell you. Problem with the car, found under the seat. I found out later it belonged to a guy in the Vice Squad. Probably real sore about it.
Could be, Joe. Bar on West 7th, place called the Hamilton Inn.
Yeah, that's it. He'll be there.
All right, Slater, let's go.
Well, where are you taking me?
You're going to jail.
No, you can't win. Should have known you. Hey, do me a favor, huh?
What's that?
Talk to the jailer, make him give me a cell by myself.
We handcuffed Slater to a chair in the robbery office until we got back to booking. 12:32 a.m. Frank and I left the city hall for the Hamilton Inn on West 7th Street. Slater had told us that he was to meet Bull Bentley between 1 and 1:30. When we got there were a half a dozen people in the place. We checked the bar and the men's restroom, but Bentley wasn't around. We went back to the car, drove down the street to a closed service station, and parked where we could keep both doors of the restaurant under surveillance. 12:50, 1 a.m., 1:15. We waited. 1:35.
Joe, that him?
I don't know. It might be. Let's take a look. All right, you want to take the side door? I'll try the front.
Right.
All right.
see him, Joe.
Wait a minute. That him? Going in the phone booth back there?
Yeah.
Come on. I'll get him. Bentley.
Yeah?
Watch it, Joe! Yeah. Watch it, Frank.
All right, Frank.
I'll shake him down.
Who told you? Who blew the whistle? That bum McLeod, it was him. He was the only one who knew.
He give you my telephone number?
Yeah, he did. And he runs to you and cops out. Should have known better. I give him $20 for it.
Well, that figures.
What do you mean?
We gave him 10 not to.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 12th, the hearing was held in the district attorney's office. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I'd like to talk to you about something that's important to every one of you. Now, for the first time, you can get a premium quality cigarette in either regular or king size. Of course, that's Chesterfield. Both regular and king size Chesterfields are made of the proven ingredients that give you the best possible smoke. Both are much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste and no unpleasant aftertaste. Yes, there's no difference between the two, except king-size Chesterfield is larger, contains so much more of the same tobaccos, it gives you a 21% longer smoke, yet it costs very little more. So remember, either way you like them, regular or king-size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Leroy W. Bentley was released to the Colorado authorities for prosecution on a charge of murder. A hold was placed on him for the state of California in the event he is paroled. He was convicted and is now serving a life sentence in the Colorado State Penitentiary without possibility of parole. Although David R. Slater was guilty of aiding and abetting a felony, a complaint could not be issued due to the fact it could not be proved that Slater knew Bentley was an ex-convict when he gave him the gun. He was filed on for petty theft in Division 7. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 90 days in the county jail. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
These great programs sound off for Chesterfield. Radio, Dragnet, the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis Show, and every weekday Arthur Godfrey time. On television, Dragnet, Gangbusters, Arthur Godfrey and his friends, and the Perry Como Show.
Tomorrow, you'll want to sound off for Chesterfield, because either way you like them, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Oh, there are a lot of ways to put it, but it's easier if you let your slip show right from the beginning. Because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to do a lot of things to make a living. Otherwise, it's like being a CPA in a charity ward. I rent boats and do anything else that'll keep a bum lawyer in beer and broadcloth. Works out all right. You make a few bucks if you don't forget there are only 2 questions you can ask anybody down here. When and how much. Even then, you got to watch out, unless you like your trouble without a chaser. I found that out Monday night. I closed shop and I walked down the street to Noonan's bar. Well, it really isn't a bar. It's just a couple of stools with a bottle opener and a jukebox full of Irish tenors, but it's good enough to give you a shove down the road. Must have been about 11. I was sitting at one end of the place by myself, sorting out mistakes and spending a $50 on the bar, so I don't know when she came in, but she came in. I remember that.
Does it always come up heads?
If you're lucky. Who are you?
If you're that lucky, you'd have dollar bills to do it with.
Look, I'm low on chatter. Why don't you go down the counter and talk to the racy set, huh?
I'd rather buy you a drink.
Noonan's a social climber. He's going to throw you out.
You buy me one, then.
And I'm broke to strangers. Now, that winds up the conversation. See you later.
We'll talk Thursday, then. I went to your office, but they said you were over here. I want to hire you, Mr. Novak.
If you got a name to go with a figure?
It won't fit in your file. I want you for 3 hours' work tomorrow afternoon. Can you do it?
If I said yes, it might be too tough.
There's a flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. I want you to go to that stand tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Pick up a geranium plant and deliver it to this address.
I'm too big for a Western Union boy.
Are you too big for $50?
No. Must be a pretty geranium at those prices.
Some people love nature, Mr. Novak. Do you care?
No, I know a guy who likes parrots.
You go to the stand and tell them you want the plant. Take it straight to the address I gave you. It's important. Don't let it out of your hands.
For $50, I'll act like we're married.
I better give you the money now.
Well, you're eager. Suppose I don't deliver.
I found you tonight. I can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Well, where do I get in touch with you?
You don't. Mr. Novak, this is the last time over the course. So take a good look now.
Yeah, I'm away past midnight already. Suppose something goes wrong tomorrow.
Then it's very simple, Mr. Novak. You won't have to send for flowers. Good night.
I watched her as she turned and walked out the door. She was wearing a flowered print dress, and as she walked, the roses kept getting mixed up with the daisies. She walked with a nice, friendly movement, like the trapdoor on a gallows. As she reached the door, she turned and smiled once, as if she knew the $50 was just for laughs. I scooped up the dough before anybody could see it, because at Noonan's, everybody gets broke in one motion. I left a few minutes later, and I went home to bed. I dreamed real good on $50, so I felt good the next afternoon when I got to the corner of Post and Kearney. The flower stand was there, all right, and I leaned against the storefront to watch the guy for a while. Maybe I should have known then, because right away I got the idea he didn't know what he was doing. But you can say that for a lot of senators. So I let it ride. When the jewelry store clock across the street said 2 o'clock, I walked up to him.
Can I do something for you?
Yeah, give me a geranium plant.
What kind do you want?
Big one, a small one, I don't care. It's 2 o'clock. I'll take that kind.
You want a geranium?
Look, it's going to get dark. You got that long to argue?
Here's the one you want, then.
If you say so. You want to wrap it?
No, it's all right. You carry it that way.
Well, I'm going to look real funny walking around with a handful of geranium.
Why do you want one, then?
I see. You don't feel like talking about it?
No, just take it and be happy.
Yeah. How much?
Nothing. Doesn't cost a thing.
Suit yourself. You won't make much dough that way.
I'll make even less talking to you. Just take the plant and be careful.
Oh? How do you know what I'm going to do with the geranium?
I don't, mister. Some people eat them. Just be careful and goodbye.
Well, the way things were going, Post Street began to look like the main drag in Casablanca. I watched the guy fumble around with a customer for a minute, and then I crossed the street and started up toward Union Square. The cop gave me a kind of a funny look when he saw the geranium. He smiled as if he thought I had a pair of dancing sandals in my coat pocket. About halfway up the block, I stopped to look in an art store. Right then, I noticed the guy with a cane for the first time. He was standing near me, looking in the other window. He was a little guy and kind of wrinkled and bumpy. His skin looked like a cucumber full of powder. I started up the street and pulled into the bookstore. He stopped, too, and I knew he was following me. When I got to Stockton, I turned left and walked toward Geary Street. Halfway down, there's a little street called Maiden Lane. Oh, it sounds gentle, but so does Vesuvius when you say it fast. I just started to cross when a black Nash pulled away from the curb. Some dead relative must have put in a good word for me.
over here. You all right, mister?
Yeah, I'll do, I guess.
You're lucky you're not dead.
Yeah, we're all that way. Give me a hand, will you?
Oh,
thanks.
That car came out of there and hit you on purpose. You're lucky you're not dead.
All right. I owe the house a free roll.
This lady here took down the license number. You want it?
Yeah, thanks.
You sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm a slow bleeder. I dropped a plant somewhere around here.
This it? This red thing?
Yeah, that's it, thanks.
Didn't even hurt the plant. That's something. You know, when I saw that car come out of there and hit you, you know what I thought about you?
That fella's lucky he's not dead.
Yeah.
Well, I looked around, but the little guy with the cane had disappeared. As I crossed Union Square, I kept looking around, but he was gone. Well, I tried to forget about it, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. It kept coming back and showing up again like a bad reputation. Why had the guy started to follow me and then stopped so suddenly? And how about that guy in the car and that $50 geranium? Well, I got a cab over at the St. Francis stand, and I rode out to the address that the girl gave me. On the way, I looked at the flower. From what I could see, it was just a geranium planted in a little wooden box. Like all the rest of them, it bloomed unevenly with buds that looked too nervous to come out, like a debutante with thick ankles. When the cab pulled up at the address, it was a rooming house out on Clay Street. The note I had said third floor rear, so I went up there and knocked. There was no answer, so I went in expecting to find anything. Anything but what I did find. Hello?
Go away. Go away and leave me alone.
She closed her eyes and stopped talking. She was so sick it showed like a searchlight in a cave. Her complexion was pasty and the color of a November sky. She had no expression on her face, just thin lips drawn so tightly the rims were white. No, she wasn't ready to quit yet, but you could tell she'd been papering the house for years. And you wouldn't want to bet on her. She was going to last about as long as a warm snowflake, it was easy to tell. You got a bad cough, you need some sun.
I need more than that.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Who are you?
Relax, I'm not the welcome angel. I just brought you some flowers.
Is it a joke of somebody?
I don't know, lady. With me, it's a $50 hustle. They're your flowers, so you work out the right answer.
Go away. Go away, please.
You want the flowers?
You brought them for me, didn't you? Leave them and go away.
Well, it's just a geranium. I'm going to leave it on the table.
Why'd they send you?
My reason was $50.
Did you come to hurt me?
I don't know. Do you rate it?
Oh, I'm too tired. You couldn't really hurt me, could you? Thank you for coming. Thank you for your kindness.
Sure. If that's what it is, you're welcome. That's all she said, and that's all that happened in that little room up on Clay Street. It wasn't much, and it wasn't enough to worry you, but for some reason I felt like a man in quicksand complaining about his height. When I left there, I took a car down to Market Street, and I had dinner. Well, it didn't go right because I kept thinking about this afternoon and last night. Who did she mean by they, and where did all these people fit together? The guy with the cane, the gal that gave me the $50 in the little chair about a maiden lane. Well, I tried to forget about it, but it wasn't easy. It was like trying to change a typewriter ribbon with mittens on. After dinner, I went home. It was about 8 o'clock, and when I got in the apartment, it was dark. Before I had a chance to put on the light, I knew somebody was in the bedroom. I walked over to the door. In the dim light, it looked like a walrus in pants, but it turned out to be Inspector Hellman from Homicide.
Hello, Novak. I just dropped in for a chat.
You always chat with your hand in the bureau drawer?
It's restful. I've been looking over your stuff.
Is this a social call or are you out stealing?
Where you been, Novak?
What do you care, Hellman?
All right, I'll tell you where I've been. In a third-floor room out in Clay Street.
I left one this afternoon.
It's the same one. Your fingerprints are all over the joint.
I'll bet you checked everywhere.
What were you doing out there?
Delivering flowers.
Is that your best try, Novak?
It's the best I'm going to do for you. If you don't like it, check with the woman out there. I brought her flowers and left.
What woman?
The one on the couch, a black-haired girl with a half-dead look.
You're wrong twice.
Huh?
There's no girl out there, unless she's tattooed on the guy's chest.
Oh.
And that guy doesn't have a half-dead look. It's better than that.
All the way.
That's right. He's dead enough to play for. Will that do?
Hellman's sleeve so full of fat, I didn't expect anything else up there. He flipped on the light, and I could see he was real pleased with himself. He was smiling like a guy who's just found his partner bidding no trump with 13 spades. He sat down on the bed and unbuttoned his coat. Part of his stomach oozed out and hung over his belt like a 1910 lampshade. He lit a cigarette, and then he began to run his tongue over a set of teeth that looked more like old mandolin picks than teeth. He blew smoke and looked about as appetizing as a piece of squid pie.
Must have been a short argument, Novak. The coroner says the guy checked out in a hurry.
What else does the coroner say?
It was good poison. You buy only the best, Novak.
Don't stub your toe, Hellman. I went up there to deliver a geranium plant.
So far, you got a good case. The guy was poisoned with a spring needle, hidden in that geranium box.
Who was he?
He didn't say, and there wasn't any identification. Do you want to help?
I don't know, Hellman. When I was there, we were doing Camille. Some ghost woman was dying on the couch by inches. It was her room. You better check.
We did. The room was rented 10 days ago by a man named George Langley. The landlady says there's never been a woman in the room.
That's what all landladies say. Wake up, Hellman. I stood there and watched her shake like a dust mop for 10 minutes. You can follow up on her and then check that floor stand at Kearney and Post.
What do I check for, Bull Weevils?
He's the guy that gave me that geranium plant.
We'll check. And I want you down at headquarters by midnight tonight, Novak. You can talk to yourself till then. After that, you talk to us.
I'll make it up from here on, Hellman. You don't like it the other way.
Suit yourself, Novak. You know when you do. In the meantime, we'll find out what we can.
I can't wait that long, Hellman. You couldn't find a tractor on the back porch. I'd hang if I waited for your boys.
That's what you're going to do. And at midnight, you can dangle as high as you want.
I don't mind as long as my feet are on the same level as your head. When Hellman left, I sat down to try to piece things together. I knew everything was there if I could just shove it into place. It was like trying to swap an egg beater for a mixmaster. I was pretty sure there was something about the geranium plant I should remember. One little thing that threw everything else out of focus. Well, I finally gave up. I was $50 ahead and one murder rap behind. Depends on how you like your fun. $50 is all right, but the pleasure's limited. Like giving somebody a hot foot in an ammunition dump. If I was going to drag the town, I needed help. So I looked up the only honest guy I know. An ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right for a guy who thinks people with steady hands are lazy. I finally found him in a little tinsel joint on Mason Street. It was high class for the neighborhood. The smoke was only a week old, and they had a cigarette girl. A long, leggy biscuit that wandered around trying to sell a sour smile at sweet prices. Jocko was down at the end of the bar rolling some olives back and forth. The rhythm was fine.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time to help me off the wagon. A stout glass for Mr. Novak.
Oh, I want to talk to you, Jocko.
Oh, Patsy, confidentially, I hate martinis. I just drink them for the vitamins. Everybody should have a few vegetables, and I have chosen olives.
Look, I'm in trouble, Jocko. Will you sober up and talk?
I could do that easily. I've done it 2 or 3 times, and it's no trick at all. But I refuse because it's a vulgar display of willpower.
Will you stop, Jocko?
You know, Patsy, there are only 2 things that could cause my downfall. Whiskey or women. I'm not particular. You find a nice old widow, and I'll quit this thing.
All right.
Some plump old party with a memory as vivid as my own. Preferably somebody rich enough to convince me the lines in her face weren't put there by worry.
Oh, stop it, will you?
Patsy, I'll allow you to motivate my descent, but I will not permit you to bring it to a halt. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
What do you know about flowers?
Oh, I think they're pretty on a woman's shoulder, but I suppose that's mixed devotion. Why?
Well, I'm going to need your help, Jocko. There's a dead guy out on Clay Street, and Hellman's campaigning for me.
How do the flowers fit in?
A geranium plant. The guy was poisoned with a needle in the box. I took the plant up there to a woman.
A clumsy approach. Why a geranium plant?
It's a mixed-up story. I got hired in Noonan's bar to pick it up this afternoon at Post and Kearney. I got gumshoed all the way up Post Street and hit by a car at Maiden Lane.
You looked bent when you walked in.
I took it out to this address, and I gave it to a dying woman. Now she's disappeared, and Hellman's after me for the dead guy on her floor. Oh, I need some help, Jocko. I got to find a way out of this.
Well, you passed up a golden opportunity when that car hit you.
That's one of the places you come in. Now, here's the license. I want you to hop down and check the registration, will you?
What else?
Find out who runs that flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. Now, to get back in time, I can check tonight. Tag by my place. I'll either be there or I'll leave a message.
Where are you going?
To find a woman.
That seems like a peculiar way to handle a crisis.
Well, I got to find the gal that started me out on this.
Patsy, I wish you'd forget about women.
And I wish you'd forget about whiskey.
Yes, we both have our problems. Except I enjoy one safeguard that you don't. At least I can look at the label and tell how old it is. Good night, lover.
Well, I got out of there and I went by Noonan's place. I asked him if he knew the girl in there last night. He said after 45, a man forgets about a woman's face, so I checked that lead off and started on the other girl. I hit all the cab stands out near Clay Street, and I finally found a hack that picked her up. It was about 4 o'clock, he said. She had luggage and rode over to Janet Street on Telegraph Hill, but he couldn't remember the address at the best rates in town, so I checked off that one, too. From here on, it was going to be a rough ride. I didn't know where to dig. I might as well have been out looking for a stick with one end. Well, I could try one more thing. I went by to search the Clay Street joint. It was a dirty room, and the geranium hadn't helped. There was a sweet odor and a thick, dusty cloud all over the place. It was like going to sleep in a bag of an old vacuum cleaner. There wasn't anything there that could help, and on my way out, I heard footsteps. I snapped off the light and waited. The door opened slowly. I couldn't see her face, but I knew it was the girl from Noonan's. Turn on the light and you'll see your friends.
Well, Mr. Novak.
Sit down. Let's talk.
In here? Why don't we drop by a gymnasium and get some fresh air?
We can start with your name.
It's Evie. Say your piece, Mr. Novak. I've run out of $50 bills.
Yeah, that's the way it is with my patients. Who killed the guy?
I don't know, Patsy. I can narrow it down to one county for you, but after that you'll have to do your own sorting.
The police think I did it.
Maybe you did. You look big enough to carry the load. I don't care, Patsy. I'm not going to weep. I've got about 3 tiers left, and he isn't high enough on the list to rate one.
Who was he? Now, how'd you find out he was dead?
There's generally a dirty rim in the wash bowl. His name was Charles Dowd. Don't worry about him. There's a small-time guy set to fast music.
Well, I'm going to worry about him because homicide's worried about him.
Then worry in a calm way, Patsy. If you do it that way, I'll help.
Sit down. Now, look, lady, you better help out or I'll lose your teeth for you.
Patsy, you're tough. And everything, I guess.
Who runs that flower stand?
It wouldn't help. When he gave you that geranium, there was nothing wrong.
For $50, there had to be something wrong.
It wasn't full of poison. I know it was in there, and it wasn't poison. Somebody made a switch up here.
What happened to the girl?
I don't know. Relax. You're going to use up all that nice energy.
Look, sis, you can haul in those long legs and give me some answers.
I'm going to haul them in long enough to ask a few questions. My turn now, Patsy. Back over toward the door. You can talk on your way.
Yeah, you look good with a gun.
You made a deal with George. I want to hear about it, Novak.
I don't even know George. If he's got a part, you just dealt him in.
I'm too old for fairy tales, Patsy. George got to you and found out about that geranium box. It couldn't have happened any other way.
Sorry, lady.
Remember, you're nothing to me, Novak. You're $50 worth of muscle. You're $50 now. Spend you fast.
Go easy. You're going to break open a scene. I don't know your boy George, and I can forget you, too.
You can do it while you're talking. I came a long way, Patsy. Too far to toss it over for a male or a bum. You're just a passing pair of pants to me, and I'll throw you away faster than a water gun.
Now's your chance, baby. Come on.
Let go. You're hurting my shoulder.
Relax. You're not going to have one in a minute. Come on, drop it. Now, reach down for that gun, and I'll jam you in the basement faster than a ton of coal.
All right.
Now, let's hear you talk.
I would, Patsy, but you're not listening.
That's what happens when you don't watch the door. Somebody falls in love with the back of your head. I didn't even have a chance to see who hit me. I don't know what good it would have done unless you're the kind of a guy who keeps a scrapbook on those things. When I woke up, I had company. He was taking a nap, too, only his was going to last longer. It was the little guy with the cane. He tailed me right to the end. He was lying there with his mouth open and a bunch of pink gum showing as if he was trying to pick up a few bucks with a toothpaste ad. I was still groggy, and I couldn't see around the room, but I could hear a slow, steady squeaking sound. I turned my head, and Hellman was sitting in a rocking chair. He looked as happy as a choir boy on Christmas Eve.
You have a good sleep, Novak?
Oh, why don't they move the morgue down here?
Yeah, I guess you ran out of poison.
Why don't you go away, Hellman?
Home, maybe, huh?
I don't owe your wife anything, so I'll wish that.
Who's the guy?
I don't know.
You looked chummy when I got here.
I don't know, Hellman. He followed me all over Post Street this afternoon, checking yourself.
I did. There's nothing on him.
I'll bet his gold fillings are gone now.
Your trial run was a guy named Charles Dowd.
I know.
He was arrested in 1942 on suspicion of espionage.
He's in business again. A whole bunch of them are, and the kicker has something to do with that geranium plant.
What bunch?
These dead guys and a lot of others on the same schedule. It's that geranium plant. It all started at Post and Kearney. You better check that florist stand.
Don't you ever get tired, Novak?
Huh?
We checked the florist stand at Post and Kearney. The answer's no.
Did you talk to the guy?
No, because there is no florist stand at Post and Kearney.
You're crazy, Hellman. I got a geranium plant there this afternoon.
There's no florist stand at Post and Kearney. If you got a geranium there, it was grown out of a crack in the sidewalk.
I left Hellman standing there over the dead man. The little guy was looking up at Hellman with a dull, bored look like an usher in a burlesque house. I was sure now there was something about the geranium I'd missed. If I could find the string and pull it, the whole thing would unravel. The questions were piling up, and there was only one answer. Who got to that box and made a switch? Well, it was close to 11 when I got back to my apartment. Jocko was in the kitchen working on an experiment.
Ah, Pepsi, I'm drinking to your memory. I'm making up for cheap booze with extra sentiment.
What'd you find out?
You were mixed up. There is no flower stand at Kearney and Post.
Now, look, I've been through all that once. It was Post and Kearney. I couldn't have made a mistake.
Oh, anybody can confuse a street. It can be done easily. I once confused 2 whole suburbs.
Yeah, all right.
I boycotted a bar in Alameda for months before I found out they gave me the Mickey in San Carlos.
Now, look, I know what I did, Jocko. Maybe the flower stand moved. Maybe it was never there before. But today it was at Post and Kearney. How about that license number?
The car is registered in the name of George Langley. Who's he?
He rented the murder room, and he's mixed up in a switch on that geranium plant.
What kind of switch?
I don't know. But whatever it was, George did it. When it left that stand, there was something else in it besides a poison needle. Everybody knew it. The girl and the little guy with a cane, and probably the guy that drove that car.
They switched plans?
No, they changed. Yeah, I guess he could have done that too, huh?
Was the man with the cane behind you when you got hit by the car?
Yeah, I think you're right, Jocko.
He wasn't trying to kill you. In the confusion, the man with the cane switched plants on you.
Oh, Jocko, you're an angel. I'm going to do something for you someday.
You already have. I charged this bottle of whiskey to you.
Yeah, Novak talking.
I got news for you.
Mine's good, too. That poison needle plant was engineered by the little guy with the cane.
We identified him. His fingerprints match an espionage agent called George Langley.
Well, he was due any minute.
There's nothing else on him except he lived in a place up on Janet Street.
So it happened that way.
Huh?
That's where the other geranium is, Hellman. You better get up there before they ring down the curtain. That other plant's going to draw all the boys and girls.
What does that prove?
Nothing, except you haven't got any business bothering a flower unless you're a bee. Well, you never know how the cards are going to fall, but when it's a wild game like Red Dog, whichever way they fall, it's going to hurt. And the last card's the one that breaks your back. So when Hellman hung up, I grabbed a cab and rushed out to Janet Street. It's a little short street draped down the side of Telegraph Hill like a torn ribbon. When Hellman pulled up at the top of the hill, I met him, and we started down to George Langley's address. Hellman opened the front door, and as we started into the bedroom, we ran into a traffic jam.
I'm sorry.
Hello, Evie. This is Hellman from Homicide.
I don't have time now, Patsy.
That's all you got, baby. Grab her bag there, Hellman.
Patsy, you're crazy.
Open her bag, Hellman. That's what they're all after. There's the geranium over by the window.
Let's have the bag, lady.
You're all too grabby. I'll take it. Come on, Edie.
Who's this guy?
A pixie, Hellman. He's the guy that sold me the flower down at Post and Kearney.
I'm sorry you got mixed up, Novak, but I'm short on regrets tonight. Give me the bag, Edie.
Go easy. We're going to get in too deep.
You're in up to your nostrils now, baby. The bag. I want that piece of paper.
You don't need a gun, Gerard.
That's up to you, Evie. You double-crossed me, and I'm too old for a new set of tricks.
That's the way it had to be, Gerard. You can see that. When George cut in, there was nothing else to do. It was high man in, low man out.
You're out there, and I want the bag.
Stay away from me, Jerry.
Give me time. I'll get far away.
I'm going to hang on to it. Stay away, Jerry.
I hear you, but that's all, baby.
Give me a hand, Patsy.
You're going to need more than that, Angel.
Help me to the couch.
Sure, come on. There you are.
Thanks, Patsy. You didn't owe me that.
I can't take it back now.
How's Gerard?
He bleeds big.
If I wasn't so tired, I'd laugh and laugh.
No, I wouldn't do that, Angel. You're going to be there in time to hear the echo. What's in the bag?
A formula. One other thing, Pat.
Yeah?
One other thing.
What'd she say?
I don't know, Hellman. She took it with her.
Where does that leave us?
Short one girl. She's in the apartment or on her way up.
Don't look too hard, Mr. Novak.
How many more are there?
She's the big act. How do your friends look, sweetheart?
They look so very short. Oh. They watched me get sick. They didn't do anything about it. They sat around waiting for the last ounce of blood to dry up.
You better go with Hellman.
Please take me when you have a chance. Take me to... No.
Yeah, you're more than ready.
Oh, I think they look wonderful. They let me work for years. They let me get this way. And then they sat around to listen to my heart break.
Well, I don't know why, but Hellman was confused. He finally got the story off the girl in a hospital bed. All 5 of them had worked together once, gathering government information, but when the big order came, double-cross set in like an epidemic. They were out after a formula. The dying girl had one half, and the other half was in that geranium plant. It came off the boat and went to that phony flower stand. Evie and Gerard were afraid to deliver it themselves, so they hired me to do it. The sick girl was in on another frame. She tipped off Langley, and he worked that hit and run with Dowd, only he forgot to tell Dowd about the poison needle. When Dowd was dead, the girl checked out for Langley's place. Between them, they had the formula, but they got in the beef, so she killed him. She came back to plant a phony lead for Evie, and that's how I got sacked. Evie tumbled and headed for Langley's place. When she left, the girl planted Langley next to me in that room and then went back to watch Evie and Gerard in that overtime match. I guess she was too sick to care one way or the other. Now, Hellman asked only one question. How come 5 such bad people ever got together in one shuffle? I don't know, except most people are full of a lot of good and a lot of bad. The day we met them, all the bad was showing.
The Armed Forces Radio Service has just brought you Pat Novak for Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced by William P. Russo. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adlam. Be with us again next week when over most of these same stations we'll bring you Pat Novak for Hire. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Chesterfield, first cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A nightclub manager has been robbed and killed. The killers made good their escape. Their identity is unknown. Your job, get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, April 7th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from R&I, and it was 1:46 p.m. when I got to the interrogation room. Find anything? Oh, they're checking it now. Mr. Seaton?
Yes, Sergeant?
I wonder if you'd mind going over all that happened just once more. You might have forgotten something, some little thing that might help us here.
All right. Where do you want me to start? Where I came in this morning?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Well, I came into work about 8:30.
Is that the time you usually get there?
Yes, sir. Depends what time I catch my bus. Usually it's about then, though.
Was Mr. Kelby there then?
Yeah, he usually gets in around 8 or so, comes in, looks the place over. You know, checks the register, liquor supply in the bar, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to his office to count the money for the night before, get the deposit slip ready for the bank. That's what he was doing this morning when they came in.
You see him come in?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen when those two men came in.
Mm-hmm.
First, I thought they were salesmen, and both of them were dressed kind of nice. A lot of salesmen come in to see Kelby that time in the morning. I didn't figure anything was wrong.
They say anything to you, these men?
Well, no, not at first. They just stood there looking the place over. I went on peeling my potatoes. Then I heard one of them say that he guessed they might as well get it over with, and that's when they pulled the guns and told me it was a stick-up.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, first, I didn't know quite what to do. I asked them if they was kidding, not to pull jokes like that. And I told them if it was a joke, it wasn't very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big one come over and told me to keep my mouth shut, told me it wasn't any joke. And if I made a sound, they'd just soon blow my head off and look at me. Well, you just know I wasn't about to cause any trouble.
Did Mr. Kelby know they were in the place?
No, not then. You see, he keeps the door to his office closed when he's counting the money, and I thought about yelling to him, but then when I looked at those two guys, I thought about what they'd said about killing me. I decided not to.
What did these men do then?
The tall one walked over to the door of Mr. Kelby's office and knocked on the door, and Mr. Kelby said for him to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And they opened the door and walked in. He saw the guns, asked them what they wanted, and told them they'd better get out of there with those guns, not to cause any trouble. Little one laughed at him and said they wanted the money and that Kelby was the one who shouldn't cause any trouble.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, the little one started to pick up the money and stuff it in his pockets, and Mr. Kelby told him they better leave it alone, that he had friends to take care of him. And the two of them said something I couldn't hear. Little one told Kelby that his friends wouldn't do him any good. And that's when they shot him.
Which one actually shot him?
Oh, the little one. He's the one who said that thing about the friends.
Well, did you try to do anything to help Kelby while all this was going on?
Well, what could I do? I told you what those guys said. Kelby wanted to be a hero, save the money, fine. It wasn't his money, it belonged to the owners. Look, I tell you, Sergeant, money isn't worth that much. They nail you into that box and they don't throw a bank book in. These guys told me to stay put. I stayed put.
What did these two fellows do after they shot Kelby?
Well, the big one was real surprised, like he didn't know the little one was going to do it. Yelled at him he was a fool, said he was a stupid fool. Those are his exact words. And the little guy finished getting all the money and then they ran out. Well, I'll tell you, I was scared to death they were going to kill me, too. It looked like it for a minute, too.
How do you mean?
Well, when they ran through the kitchen of the back door, the little one stopped and asked what they was going to do about me. I thought, sure, my number was up. Big one said not to make it any worse, to leave me alone. Then they ran out of the place. And boy, that's when I called the cops and those other guys, out there in the car. And then you came. And the rest you know.
Are you sure that you've never seen any one of these men before?
Well, sir, I'm pretty sure I haven't.
I wonder if you can give us some kind of a description on these two men.
Yeah, the big one was about 6'2", maybe 3. Weighed about 180 to 200. Dark, black curly hair.
Anything special about him, the way he talked, any scars, anything like that?
No, nothing.
How was he dressed, do you remember?
Yeah, he had on a gray suit. Glen plaid had kind of red in it, The suit looked expensive. He had black shoes, a maroon tie.
Now, how about the smaller one? What did he look like?
Oh, he was a little one, 5, 6, or 7, 130, 35 pounds. He was dark, too, black hair, cut real short.
Uh-huh. How about his clothes?
Had on a blue suit. Looked like a gabardine. Single-breasted, light blue. Had on a yellow shirt and dark blue tie.
Would you know if there were any marks or scars on him?
Oh, yeah. He had a little tiny scar right here on the edge of his mouth.
Uh-huh.
Made him look like he was smiling all the time.
Well, these are very good descriptions, Mr. Seaton. They're going to help us a lot here.
Yeah, well, like I said, I wasn't about to be a hero and try to stop these two, but I knew that you'd want to know what they looked like, so I tried to get all the dope I could.
We understand. Now, during the holdup, did either of these men use any names? One of them call the other by a name, anything like that?
Oh, let me think about that. Yeah, there was something. While they were in the office, while the little guy was picking up the money, the big one said, "Hurry up, Deuce." Yeah, he called him Deuce.
That was the smaller one?
Uh-huh, that's right, Deuce.
Joe? Yeah. I'll ask the staff's office to make a run on the descriptions and MO for us. Check the oddity and the monitor file in the R&I office and see if they can come up with a deuce or anything on this guy.
That'll be fine, Frank. Thanks a lot. Hey, you got cigarettes, Sergeant?
Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks. How about Mac?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, Kelby being shot. I'll probably lose my job.
How's that?
I'll probably lose my job. The owners will figure, sure, I should have tried to stop those guys. Well, those are the breaks.
You said that when these men came in, the door to the manager's office was closed. Is that right?
Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Kelby always kept it closed when he counted the money, just like I said.
Uh-huh. Well, it looks like the men knew that Kelby would be checking the money at that time, doesn't it? That they knew the layout of the place when they came in.
Yeah, I never thought of that. By gosh, that's what must have happened. They sure seemed to know what was going on.
Anybody else that was usually around at that time, would you know? Anybody that might have known that the manager worked the accounts at that particular time?
No, there's nobody else around. But I don't think that Mr. Kelby kept it a secret about the money.
Was Kelby conscious at all after he was shot? Do you remember that?
Not more than a minute. I ran over to him right after the men left. I wanted to see if I could help,
Okay.
Yeah, he was shot pretty bad. They'd hit him in the stomach. He was all doubled up. Terrible. He looked up at me and said, "I know." And his voice kind of trailed off. That's all. Just, I know.
Stats office is making the run, Joe. Got out the local and the APB on the suspects. Nothing that matches the name Deuce and nothing on the scar.
Anything from the crime lab yet?
No. Checked by the office. While I was there, Murphy called from Georgia Street.
Anything?
Yeah, not good.
What?
Kelby died, never regained consciousness.
With the death of the victim, any information he might have given us about his killers was gone. The one witness to the murder was shown the mug books, but was unable to identify the suspect. Sergeants Gill Encinas and Danny Galindo canvassed the neighborhood and came up with the driver of a bakery truck who thought he'd seen the killers leave the club. He told them that two men answering the description given us had walked out of the club and gotten into a late model Mercury sedan. He'd not been able to get the license number of the car, however. He was brought into the office and shown the mug books, but he was unable to point out the killers for us. In checking the neighborhood, Encinas and Galindo had come up with a waitress who had seen two men answering the description of the killers loitering around the area. She also described the Mercury sedan, but said that she hadn't paid much attention to it. Because of the smoothness with which the hold-up men had operated, indications led us to believe that they had been tipped off by somebody working for the club. Proceeding with this theory, we checked with the club owner, a Mr. John Watson. We found him in the kitchen of his home.
Hope you don't mind if I finish up here, officers.
No, not at all, Mr. Watson.
Guess it seems a little silly to you for a man to be in the kitchen. Kind of a hobby of mine, cooking.
Yes, sir?
Making a cheesecake. Got some friends coming over tonight. Figured the cheesecake might taste good later in the evening.
Yes, sir. You go right ahead. We just have a few questions we'd like to ask you.
About the robbery? Terrible thing. I don't understand why Kelby just didn't give him the money. Not give him any reason to shoot.
Do you have any idea who might have known that the money would be in the office at the time?
Almost everyone that worked in the place. Not making mention of the salesman that came in. Would you hand me that rolling pin over there?
Yeah. Here you are.
Thanks. Crust for a cheesecake's important. That's one of the reasons I make it myself. Can't stand a soggy crust.
Are there any of your employees that you think might do a thing like this?
Well, that'd be hard to say. I didn't get around the club much. Once in a while, I'd drop by, chat with Kelby. He did the hiring and firing. As long as the place made money, I didn't interfere.
Well, the way it looks, it could be very likely that one of the employees did it. The men who pulled the job seem to know just what they were doing.
That right?
Yes, sir. I wonder if we could look through your employment record.
Sure, of course. Anything I can do to help out in this thing. Would you hand me that pan over there?
Right. This one?
Yeah. Thanks. Get this crust into it, and the cheesecake's about ready. Yeah, sure, you can look at the record. Don't see what that's going to show, but you're welcome to them.
What kind of a car do you drive, Mr. Watson?
New Lincoln. Just got it a couple of weeks ago.
Any of your employees drive a late model Mercury that you might know of?
No. Oh, like I said, I don't really have a lot to do with the actual operation of the club. Kelby took care of that. Good manager. Did a fine job.
Can you tell us how much money they took, sir?
No, near as we can tell, it came to a little over $1,100. Some of that was in checks, that we cash for our customers. Well, that finishes that. Get this together. Now, get it in the oven. Looks good, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
You should taste it. Set it for 350 for 25 minutes, and that does it. Yeah. Now then, can I get you officers anything? A cup of coffee, something like that?
No, sir. If you just arrange for us to check your employment record.
Certainly. I'll call the club right away.
We'd appreciate that.
My brother-in-law's down there looking after things now. He's an idiot. Never could get a job on his own. I only hired him because my wife insisted on it. Yeah, he'd probably botch up the whole thing. Usually does.
Well, if you'd call him, sir.
How's Kelby's condition? Going to be laid up long?
Well, Mr. Kelby's dead, sir. We thought you knew.
No, I hadn't heard. Oh, I can hardly believe it. Such a ruthless thing. Just terrible. Kelby was such a good man. Everybody that worked for him liked him. Didn't have an enemy in the world.
He had two. We went back 5 years into the employment records of the club. There were over 200 names. Each of them had to be checked out. Frank and I spent 2 months running them down. In all instances, the people interviewed had alibis, or else they could explain their action at the time of the robbery and killing. In each instance, if the person owned an automobile, it was checked. A broadcast and an APB had been gotten out on the late model Mercury seen at the club, but there had been no answers. No replies had come in on the descriptions of the two suspects. June 17th, we were checking out the last 3 names on the list. One of the 3, a David Adams, listed a rooming house on West 34th Street as his home address. We checked with the landlady, Mrs. Elvia Collins.
Adams? Sure, he lives here, second floor front.
Wonder if we could talk to him, ma'am.
Sure, got no reason to say you can't. Come in.
Thank you, ma'am.
He isn't in right now. Went out about an hour ago. Said he had to lead on a job, and I sure hope he gets it. He's a couple of months behind in his rent. Sit down. Just take any chair.
Thank you, Miss Collins.
You officers like anything? Mint on the table there. Help yourself.
No, thank you. Adams give you any idea when he might be back?
No, he didn't say right out. I expect he'll be here by 6.
How's that, ma'am?
That's when we serve dinner. Mr. Adams hasn't missed more than 4 meals since he's been living here.
What's this Adams look like?
Oh, little man. Sort of like my first husband, little dried-up man.
Well, how old would you say he is?
Well, I know exactly. Baked his birthday cake last Wednesday. 46 candles and 1 for luck.
About how tall would you say, ma'am?
5'6" or so.
How about his weight?
Maybe 120, and that'd have to be soaking wet. He's a real little man.
Is he dark or light?
I beg pardon?
His hair, is it dark or light?
Oh, light. A real silky hair. What little there is left of it. Funny the way he combs it. Never could figure it out why a man would comb his hair that way.
What's that, ma'am?
Well, you see, he's only got a little bit of hair on one side. He lets it grow real long, and then he combs it all the way over the top of his head, so it'll look like he's got a lot of hair. He really doesn't, though. He's silly. He's pretty vain about other things, too.
Does he have any friends in the building, Miss Collins?
Well, there's his 2 cousins. They've moved, though.
How long ago did they move?
Let's see. Must have been about 2-3 months ago. Yes, that much, anyway.
What did these 2 cousins look like, Miss Collins? Can you describe them?
You just bet I can. I had a lot of trouble with them 2, always drinking. First one, he was a big one. 6 feet, anyway. Had dark hair. Weighed maybe 200 pounds.
Miss Collins, how about his complexion?
Dark.
Anything outstanding about him?
Well, now, what do you mean outstanding?
Well, I mean anything about him that struck you as being different, maybe. Anything that attracted your attention, something like that?
No.
Well, what about the number 2 man? How old was he?
Oh, he was a little younger. 35 or maybe 37, around there.
Well, how tall would you say he was, Miss Collins?
Well, he was a little man. 5'6" or 7.
How much do you figure he weighed, would you know?
130 pounds or so.
How about his complexion?
Dark. Just like the other one.
Anything outstanding about him? Scars, tattoos, maybe anything like that?
Yes, he had a scar. Right on the corner of his mouth. Made him look like he was smirking all the time. It was a real dirty look.
What are these men's names, Miss Collins?
Well, now, the big one was called Al Evans. The little one's name was Bill Evans. They was brothers.
Did they have a car?
Oh, yes, a late one. It was real pretty.
You know what make it was?
No. No, I'm sorry, but I can't tell one kind from another. There was a nice-looking one, though. A lot of chrome all over it.
Do you have any idea where they might be now, where they moved to?
No, I haven't. Well, Mr. Adams can probably tell you, though.
I see.
Oh, that might be him now. I'll see.
We'll go with him, ma'am, all right?
Are you expecting any trouble? What's this all about, anyway? Mr. Adams done something wrong? Oh, I do hope not. He's a little man, but he's awfully nice.
We'd just like to talk to him.
Oh, I sure hope there won't be any trouble. Oh, Mr. Adams.
Yes, Miss Collins?
These gentlemen would like to talk to you.
Oh? Nothing I can do for you?
Are you David Adams?
Yes, sir, that's right.
We're police officers, Mr. Adams. My name's Friday. It's my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
Adams.
What is it you wanted?
Well, it might be better if we talked in your room.
All right, but I still don't see what it is you want.
Did you get the job?
No, Mrs. Collins, but I've got another lead. Don't worry. I'll be able to take care of that matter by the first next week.
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Adams. I understand.
This is it. Not much. Just sit down anyway.
Thank you.
You want to tell me what this is all about now? What it is that you want with me?
Well, we'd like to talk to you about the robbery of the Pink Rat Cafe last April. Manager was killed.
The Pink Rat, yes. I worked there a couple of years ago, but I don't think I've been in the place since then. I lost the job. Kelby fired me for dropping a load of dishes.
Did you have an argument at the time?
Well, a little one, yeah. I was sore. He was, too. Wanted me to pay for the dishes. I didn't feel it was my fault. I told him so. He had a few words. Nothing serious, so why?
Mr. Kelby was killed and holed up at the bar.
Yes, I know. That's too bad. But you surely don't think I had anything to do with that, do you?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out.
Well, why do you think I'd have anything to do with it? I haven't been near the place for a couple of years.
Well, the way the thing was pulled, the whole M.O. makes it look like it's an inside job. Somebody had to give the layout, tell him that Kelby would be in his office with the money at that time. It all points to somebody that either works there now or who did work there.
Yes, but why me?
Well, your name was on the list. It had to be checked out.
Adams, you got any relatives in town? Not now. I had a couple of cousins. They were out here for a while.
What are their names?
Al and Bill Evans.
Mind if we look around your room?
No, I gotta get high. Go ahead and look around. You won't find anything.
Thanks.
What is it about my cousins? You figure they had something to do with the thing?
Well, we think they might have. Their descriptions match the ones we got from the witnesses.
You've been talking to old Mrs. Collins. She's the one that told you about Al and Bill, isn't she?
Well, who told us isn't important, Adam?
You don't have to admit it, I know. You're a busybody, always getting a nose into somebody else's business. Oh, Harpy.
Joe? Yeah.
Look at here.
What's this gun for, Adam?
You never know when somebody's going to try to break into the house. It's protection, that's all.
You never had it out of the house, huh?
Not since I bought it. It's a 32, though. What are you so interested for? Kelby was killed with a 38. Well, he was, wasn't he? Seems to me I heard it on the radio or read it in one of the papers.
No, you didn't. The caliber of the gun that killed him wasn't released. How'd you know?
I must have read it in the paper, like I said.
No, this won't work, mister. I think maybe we better talk to you downtown, huh?
You going to arrest me?
Just like to talk to you downtown. Let's go.
Well, sure, but I got nothing to hide.
Well, you still got to come up with an explanation for knowing about that gun.
Description we got matches your cousin's. You know about the gun. You got a lot to explain. I don't want to go to jail.
Too bad, Adam. You should have thought about that before you got involved in this.
Well, if I tell you, if I help to get the guys that did it, will you give me a break?
Well, we can't make any deal.
Well, I don't want to go to jail. You can't do anything for me, huh?
All we can do is see that the district attorney's office knows that you've helped.
But you'll tell him, huh? If I give you a hand?
He'll know about it.
Okay. I got claustrophobia. Put me in a cell and drive me nuts. I'll tell you who did the job. More than that.
Yeah.
I can show you the gun they used.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Listen to what the nation's press has had to say about Chesterfield.
Atlantic City Evening Union. Wholesalers and retailers report an extraordinary demand for Chesterfields in both sizes, with sellouts in many instances.
Cleveland Press. Dealers everywhere report the big pack sale phenomenal. Last week in Cleveland, some areas reported the long-size Chesterfield outsold all other brands.
And from all over the country, we're getting reports from dealers telling us no product they ever handled has grown so fast in so short a time as king-size Chesterfields.
Yes, with the buying public today, high quality for the money is a must. And that's why so many smokers are changing to Chesterfield. First cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king-size. King-size Chesterfield is exactly the same as regular Chesterfield, except it's larger. Contains so much more of the same tobacco, it gives you a 21% longer smoke, yet costs very little more.
And the tobacco in king-size Chesterfield is of better quality and higher price than the tobacco in any other king-size cigarette.
Try Chesterfield. Either way you like them, regular or king-size, they're much milder. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
We took David Adams back to the office and checked the gun with pawn shop records. It was clean. We printed him and checked him through R&I. We took him over to Westlake Park, and he showed us the approximate place in the lake where the gun had been thrown. He explained that his two cousins had talked him into helping him with the robbery at the club. He also said that as soon as he found out that there'd been a shooting, he'd washed his hands of the entire affair and told them that he'd have nothing more to do with it. The loot from the robbery had been divided between the two cousins, Adams taking no part of it. It took us 2 hours of searching before we were able to find the gun. It was turned over to Russ Camp in ballistics. He fired test shots from the gun, and comparison with the death bullet showed that it was the murder weapon. Markings on the shell casing found at the scene of the crime were the same as those left on the test casing. Adams told us that Bill Evans owned a late model Mercury sedan and that the two brothers had left for St. Louis in the car. He also was able to give us the license number. We checked with DMV, and they told us that the legal owner was a finance company on Crenshaw. The manager there told us that their payments were up to date. They were able to give us a St. Louis address used as a reference by Bill Evans. We called the St. Louis Police Department, gave them a rundown, and asked them to pick up the Evans brothers for us. The witness to the killing was unable to identify David Adams as one of the hold-up men. He was taken to the main jail and booked on suspicion of 287 PC. Frank and I waited for word from the St. Louis Police Department.
They're all the same, aren't they, Joe?
What do you mean?
I put any of them in a tight spot, and they'll spill all they know to save their skins.
Well, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Adam seems pretty sincere, though. Seems like he does really want to help.
Well, we'll know more when we hear from St. Louis.
You figure that Adams is telling the truth?
I don't know. The story seems to check out about how he laid the thing out for him, showing us where the gun was. Being that far back in his room, Red, it'd make that part about him not taking any of the money fit. I'll get it. Homicide Friday. Yeah, I'll take it. Mello. Yeah. Yeah, we've been waiting to hear from you. Did you pick up the Evans brothers? Uh-huh. Yeah, wait a minute. Toss me that pad, will you, Frank? Yeah, here. Thanks. Yeah, all right, go ahead. Uh-huh. What was that again? I didn't... Yeah, I got it. Okay, thanks. Anything we can do for you, give us a call. Yeah, sure, we sure appreciate it. Right, bye.
What does it? What do you mean?
St. Louis checked the address. They'd been there all right, but they left this morning.
Any idea where they went?
Yeah, the Evans boys told us.
Huh?
They left a forwarding address. Motel out on Ventura Boulevard. Frank and I notified Captain Lorman of the new developments. We talked to the manager of the motel, and she told us that she did have a reservation for June 24th under the name Evans. She told us that they'd be in Cottage 12. In view of the fact that the suspects had not been alarmed, we decided not to put out an APB on the car. We felt reasonably sure that having made the reservations, they'd keep them. But in the event the suspects arrived earlier than expected, a surveillance was placed on the motel 24 hours a day. Sergeants Howard Hudson and Bill Cummings took the period from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Frank and I covered the other 12 hours. Directly across from the motel was a used car lot. We talked to the manager, and he gave us permission to sit in any one of his cars while keeping the place under surveillance. As we relieved each other, the police car was taken back to the city hall, so there would be no indication that the place was staked out. 4 days passed. No sign of the suspect. June 23rd, 4:32 a.m.
Joe.
Yeah, Mercury sedan. License checks. 2 men.
Stopping at the manager's cottage. They're ringing the bell.
Yeah, looks like they're signing the register.
It must be. There. He's giving him the key.
All right, let's let him get to the cottage. We told her we would. All right. And there's the landlady's signal. Let's go.
Right.
Cover me.
Yeah.
Who is it? This is the manager. Gonna have to move your car.
Huh?
You gotta move your car. Put it in the back.
What do you want? Stand still.
Come, Bill! Hey, Joe, get the other one. Yeah.
Get away from me, cop. Leave me alone.
All right, give it up, mister.
I'm getting out. If you got any brains, you're not trying to stop me.
You're going no place, mister. You can't get over that wall. Throw that gun out here. You haven't got a chance.
No, sir, Arthur. You'll never take me.
All right, hold it up, Evan.
All right. No gun. I'll drop these here. I got no gun. Get a doctor for me, huh? Or it hurt.
Yeah, we'll call one.
You didn't have to shoot, did you? Lousy deal. You didn't have to shoot.
You didn't give me much choice, mister.
I wasn't trying to hit you, just trying to scare you, that's all. I didn't want to hit you. I'm a good shot. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, you proved you're a good shot.
What do you mean?
When you killed Kelby.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfield. First such report ever published about any cigarette.
Yes, and it applies only to Chesterfield. A responsible consulting organization has reported the results of a continuing study by a competent medical specialist and his staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfield cigarettes. A group of people from various walks of life was organized to smoke only Chesterfields. For 6 months, this group of men and women smoked their normal amount of Chesterfields, 10 to 40 a day. 45% of the group smoked Chesterfields continually from 1 to 30 years, for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and at the end of the 6-month period, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including X-ray pictures, by the medical specialist and his assistants. The examination covered the sinuses as well as the nose, ears, and throat. The medical specialist, after a thorough examination of every member of the group, stated, quote, It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6-month period by smoking the cigarettes provided, unquote. Now remember this Chesterfield report. It's the first such report ever published about any cigarette.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields.
Buy Chesterfield either way you like 'em, regular or king size. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
William M. Evans and Alfred T. Evans were tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. They received life sentences in the state penitentiary. Because David R. Adams had turned state's evidence, and since he was not actually involved in the crime, in the interest of justice, the charges against him were dismissed and he was released from custody. This program is dedicated to the 59th Annual Conference of the International Association of Chiefs of Police held in Los Angeles this week. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
These great programs sound off for Chesterfield. Radio, Dragnet, the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis Show. And every weekday, Arthur Godfrey time. On television, Dragnet, Gangbusters, Arthur Godfrey and his friends, and the Perry Como Show.
Tomorrow, you'll want to sound off for Chesterfields, because either way you like 'em, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet. Investigate. Here's what the nation's press has had either way you Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 18th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief detective. My name's Friday. It was 10:48 p.m. when I got back to the car. Unit 1 came. Sure wet out in it. Was he in? No, he's the guy who gave us the big story like carrying the lunch bucket. Always home by 9 o'clock. Yeah. There was a call while you were out. Someone locked in a car trunk. We better roll on it. Yeah. What do you figure about your informant? Well, I don't know. This rain holed up someplace. He's not on the street. He's your boy, Joe. You ever come up with anything worthwhile? Well, he used to. Got to be an awful lunch now. He can't stay sober long enough. Always talking about joining AA, but he never seems to get around to it. Too bad. Doing good if you give him a chance. If you want to be helped, they're the ones who can do it. Well, I'll try to catch him in the morning, huh? It's getting late. I'm tired. Yeah, I could use some sleep. Hey, when we see this guy, you think he'll be able to give us anything? I don't know. Nancy might. He might be able to come up with something. Doesn't figure, Joe. Nice job they pulled. There's not a rebel in town on him. Well, how do you even a close identification? Well, we don't turn them soon. It's going to be out of our hands. Be something for homicide to work on. You think this trunk deal might be the same one? Well, if it's him, it makes number 10 for him. The old man had seen his head off in the morning. Sure won't help his ulcer from sipping milk all day. He just graduated from soft-boiled eggs. This thing will put him right back on the sippy diet. Poor old idiot. Thieves and ulcers. He just can't win. Yeah, that must be it up there, Frank, by waving the radio car. Oh, yeah. There's 1A4 just coming in, too. Yeah. Let's sit here. You want to get out my side? Yeah. Go ahead. Right around the corner, officer. I'm the one who called. Didn't think you'll only get here. I'll show you. Right around here? Yes. All right, Joe, Frank. You police officers, too? Yes, sir. My name's Friday. It's my partner, Frank Smith. How do? I'm Carl Miller. I own the drugstore on the corner. I'm the one who found the car, you know. Yes, sir. If you'd show us the car. Yeah, sure thing. Around this way. I'm going way back from Miss Dalton. Ordered some college bills for babies. That's his car. Thought I heard something. Yes, sir. I walked by, then I got to thinking that maybe something might be wrong. So I went back. I looked in the car, but I couldn't see anything. Yeah? Well, I figured that maybe it might be my imagination. You know, maybe something else. And I heard this voice. Sounded like it was coming from the front. I tried to get it open, but it was locked. And that's when I called you. Is this? Yes, sir. Put your ear against the front. You can probably hear it. Yeah, let me see. There's somebody in there. Let's see if we can get this thing open, huh? I'm going to need something to pry it open. Got anything in your car, Al? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's something in here. I'll look. No, sir. Please don't touch the car. What? Don't touch the car, sir. Oh, sure. You want to look for fingerprints? Should have thought of it myself. I'll check my door. Should have something in there. All right, fine. Al? Yeah. You want to see if you got anything in your trunk? Yeah, I'll check it. Fine. All right, sir. We're police officers. We'll get you out. Same one, huh, Joe? Yeah, looks like him. Same MO. I'll just say you want that guy. Joe? Yeah. There's this car in the trunk. You want to try it? Yeah, fine. Here. Yeah. Let me know. Come on, try it. Yeah, fine. Here. I think I got it. Yeah. Here. That's good. Here. Oh, let's get it open. Give me a hand. Yeah, I'll look around. It's all right, sir. Get me out of there. I'm just a boy. Couldn't think anybody's fun. Both girls are going to... That's okay now. You want to tell us what happened, sir? Sure. Like that, Frank. Yeah. Better get an ambulance, Al. Right. Hey, let's get him under that awning over there, out of the rain. Right. Easy now. What do you figure? I don't know. Lay him down. Here. Take my clothes. Cover him up. Here's the screwdriver, officer. It's all right. Oh. You already got it open? Yes, sir, we did. A little bitty screwdriver probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Oh, thank you anyway, sir. Sure thing. Anything else I can do for you? No, sir, it's all right. Nothing you need? Nothing at all? Well, not unless you got a good remedy for ulcers. 11:01 p.m. The ambulance arrived and took the victim to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Frank and I followed in our car. This was the 10th in a series of kidnappings in which the suspects obtained cars to use in armed robberies. After beating the victims, they'd lock them in the trunk of the car, and after completion of the robberies, they'd abandon the automobile with the victims tied and gagged in the trunk. Although to date none of the victims had been killed, we knew it was only a matter of time until the suspects kidnapped somebody who would be incapable of standing the treatment, and we'd not only have a robbery but a murder to deal with. The holdups had been going on for a period of 6 weeks. Frank and I followed up what leads we could, but they brought us nothing. None of the victims could describe the suspects other than to tell us they were male, white Americans, and that one of them spoke with a southern drawl. 11:17 p.m. We arrived at the hospital. The victim had been placed in treatment room number 3. Dr. George Hall was treating him. Frank and I went into the room to talk to the doctor.
Hi, Joe. Frank. Hi. How is he? Oh, he's all right. Suffering from shock. Got a nasty abrasion on his right cheek. I gave him a sedative to quiet him down. He'll be okay in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. What happened to him?
Oh, the trunk bandage again.
Vicious bunch.
You going to release him, Doc?
Yeah, I'll be all right in 15 or 20 minutes. You know his name? I want to make out his treatment card.
No, he passed out on us before we could get it.
He's coming around now. Oh, you're all right now, fella. Just relax. Take it easy. Here. See if you can sit up here on the edge of the table. Joe?
Yeah, Doc.
You want to pour a glass of water? Cups over there on the wall.
Yeah, sure.
I'll get you some water, sir. That's it. Now, just sit quiet. Easy. There you are, sir.
Oh, thanks.
Thirsty. Right, if we talk to him now?
Sure, go ahead.
Will you tell us what happened, sir?
Yeah. About 7:45, Maeve, that's my wife, said we were out of coffee. We were having late dinner, so while she finished fixing it, I went out to get some.
Yes.
I got down to Pico and Union. Signal was working. Stopped. I pulled up. There were two guys standing on the safety zone. You know, like they were waiting for a streetcar. I thought the time was a lousy thing having to stand out in the rain waiting for a streetcar.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, the next thing I knew, one of them opened the door out in front. When he opened the door, I figured that maybe it was somebody that knew me. It was dark, you know. Couldn't see too well. The other one opened the back door and got right in the car. I knew darn soon I didn't know these guys. Well, the fellow in front had a gun, pointed right at me. Looked like a cannon, biggest gun I ever saw. Tell you I was scared.
Yes.
Told me to pull up the curb. I did.
What happened then?
Told me to get in the back seat. I told them they could take my money, car, whatever they wanted. Just let me go. And the guy in the back told me to shut up and get back there with him. I asked him again to let go. Told him that I wouldn't say anything. Said if they'd just let me go, I wouldn't tell anyone. I was scared, you know.
Yes, we understand.
The guy in the front got a real wild look in his eye. Looked like he was crazy. I tried to get out of the car. He hit me. Side of the head with that gun. Then they grabbed me, threw me in the back seat, hauled me right over the front. Just dumped me on the floor in the back.
What did you do then?
Oh, nothing. I just laid there. Figured that maybe they'd think I was out cold and leave me alone.
Then what happened?
Well, the guy in the back took a roll of adhesive tape out of his pocket, wrapped around my wrist and ankle.
Well, what did they do then, sir?
Well, they still thought I was knocked out. The guy in the front said, get me out of the car. Big fellow opened the door, lifted me out, picked me up like a sack of potatoes. The guy with the gun ran around, opened the trunk, and they threw me in. One of my legs was over the bumper, and the big guy grabbed it and twisted it so it fit in the trunk. Almost died, but I didn't dare let him know it wasn't out.
And after that?
He locked the car and drove away. Must have drove for a while, and they stopped.
You got any idea how long they drove, sir? How far?
I couldn't see anything. Couldn't hear much. Just a little mumbling. I know they stopped the gas station, though.
Oh, how's that, sir?
Well, right after we stopped, I heard one of them yell at somebody. I couldn't tell what he was yelling. Then a little while, I heard somebody come back, take the gas cap off of the tank. And I heard the gas go in the tank, right in front of the trunk.
That's it.
Well, after the guy put the cap back on the tank, I heard one of the guys say something about stick-up.
Why did you stop? Did you try to let the gas station attendant know if you were in the trunk?
Oh, sure. And I tried to kick the trunk, but the way they twisted my leg put me in, I couldn't move. They gagged me, too. Put a big piece of adhesive tape over my mouth. No, sir, I tried to let the guy know. I just couldn't do it.
You said that you heard one of them say, this is a stick-up.
Yeah. Those were the words you used, too. This is a stick-up.
Why don't you go ahead, sir?
Well, there was some quiet talking after that. I couldn't tell what was going on, and they drove away again.
You had no idea where this gas station was?
No. I'm sorry, but I was being bounced around that trunk. My head hurt where they hit me. I know they turned some corners, but I couldn't even guess where the station might be.
All right, sir. What happened then?
Same thing. They'd drive for a while and they'd stop. They'd get out of the car, then come back. We'd start to drive again. Well, finally they parked. I waited for them to come back. They didn't. I tried to get the gag off my mouth so I could yell for help. Rubbed my face against the spare tire and got loose. Then I yelled, kicked my feet against the trunk. I just about given up when you found me. I was sure I was through. It was getting hard to breathe in there.
I can imagine.
No, you can't. Until you've been locked in the trunk. Nobody can imagine that. Terrible. Just terrible. Say, have you called me? That's my wife. Have you called her?
No, sir, we haven't.
Oh, she'll be hopping mad. What time is it?
It's 11:45.
Almost 4 hours to get a pile of coffee. She'll be raising the roof. Would you call her? Tell her where I am?
Yes, sir, I'll call her. Want to give me the number?
Madison 34656. Tell her you're calling for Henry. Explain what happened.
All right, sir, right away.
Officer.
Yeah?
Be sure to tell her you're a policeman. She'll believe you.
Yes, sir. I have a couple of questions, sir. I have to fill out this card.
Sure. I hate to ask. Could I have another cup of water?
I'll get it.
What do you want to know?
Your full name.
Henry J. Hildale.
Hildale?
All right.
All right, here's your water.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm so thirsty. Dust in the trunk, I guess. Got my throat.
Yes. Now, what's your address, Mr. Hildale?
920 North Lebanon Avenue. Phone number is Madison 34656.
4656.
How old? 48. Be 49 this October.
All right, Mr. Hilldale. You have a way to get home. We'll run him home, Doc.
Oh, what about my car? Can't I take it?
Well, we're going to have to process it for fingerprints, so we can release it to you in the morning.
You called me?
Yes, sir. I just talked to her.
Where's she sore?
Well, she was a little upset. Worried about you.
But you told her about what happened.
Yes, sir. Everything's all right now.
That's good.
Mr. Hilldale.
Yes, Doc?
You can leave now. I suggest you see your own doctor in the morning. Just check up.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks a lot for your trouble. Sure appreciate it.
That's okay. Note this way. The elevator's down here.
Oh, yes.
I'll get the button. Same story, huh, Joe? One big trouble. What's that? We're hearing it too often. 12:18 p.m. We left Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and drove Mr. Hilldale back to his home. On the way, we asked him for a description, but he was only able to give us a very meager one. We did get enough information from him for our crime report. He told us he'd come in the next day to look through the mug book. We checked into the city hall, got a DI number, and filled out the crime report. We booked the abusive tape as evidence. The information on the robberies the suspect had pulled that night had come into the office. There had been 3 of them, and among them was a service station Mr. Hilldale had told us about. At 1:46 a.m., Frank and I signed out of the office and went home to get some sleep. 7:58 a.m. We talked with Captain Didion.
Here's the description we got from the service station, Lieutenant. Want to look at it?
Yeah, thanks. Same guy.
Frank?
Yes, Skipper.
Want to hand me that milk?
Yeah. There you are.
Stomach straight and king. This is a 10th kidnapping and 23rd robbery. When are you two going to get off the dime and bring those guys in?
We'll do everything we can, Skipper. You know that.
And it's not enough. I know you guys have been beating your heads against the wall on this thing, but the corner pocket's on my back, and we got to break it.
We've contacted all our informants. We've run on every lead that's turned up. They all go to the same place.
I'm giving the chief every excuse I can. I'm not going to try to sell him any more. I don't think he'd buy him. You know what? The guys who are pulling these jobs are flesh and blood. They eat and sleep. Somebody in town knows them. They're not paying them. Let's find them. These guys aren't the brainiest ones in the world. If they were, they wouldn't be getting the cars the way they do.
Well, yeah, that figures.
How about the car? Find anything?
I called Leighton Prince. They said the car was dry enough to work on. I couldn't tell if anything in. Said they'd call it back.
Mm-hmm. I've been going over the crime reports. Maybe got an idea.
Yeah.
The way it looks, they picked up the cars in one area, pulled the jobs in the same area. Could be that they live in that area.
Makes sense.
They've been working inside a 30-square block, straight down the hill, 7th to Peacock. You got a description on them. Talked to the desk clerks at every hotel and boarding house in the area. Robbery, Didion? Yeah, he's here. See you, Jim.
Thanks, Skipper. This side. What do you do? You bet. That's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. Bergman? Yeah. We just finished the car. It's clean. Not a thing on it. 9:30 a.m. Mr. Hilldale got to the city hall, and I took him into the mug room to look at the books. Frank got in touch with Schultz in the police printing lab. We gave him the description of the suspects and their M.O., and the fact that one of them spoke with a southern accent. We asked him to run off 500 flyers for distribution in the area that we were going to canvass. 12:15 p.m.
Sorry, Sergeant. Didn't recognize any of them.
Well, that's all right, sir. I understand.
Don't think his picture was there. I'd feel awful if I saw it and didn't recognize it, but I'm pretty sure you just don't have a picture of the man.
Yes, sir. Well, maybe we'd like to rest a little bit before we look at any more.
Yeah, if I can. Get a little confused looking at so many. After a while, they all begin to look alike.
Yes, sir. Joe? Yeah. See you later? Sure thing. Excuse me, Mr. Hilldale.
Of course.
Yeah. Just got a call from Charlie Sutton. San Francisco? Yeah. Thinks they got our boy.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Frank went on to tell me that in talking to Inspector Sutton of the San Francisco Police Department, he found out that they thought they had one of the suspects. Sutton said he was apprehended after man who stopped for a boulevard stop. The suspect had chased the man up and thrown him into the trunk of the automobile. Sutton went on to say that a witness on the street had called the police and furnished them a description of the car and the license number. The kidnapper was apprehended immediately. He refused to talk, and further investigation disclosed that the suspect was a PZ from Los Angeles. Inspector Sutton told us that he'd send a stand-up mug to the suspect by airmail special delivery. The following morning, when we received the mugs, we showed them to the victims of the robberies in the Los Angeles area. Several of them positively identified the man. Others stated that he resembled the suspect, and some of the victims were unable to give any identification of the suspect at all. In view of the circumstances, Frank and I were ordered to take two of the most reliable witnesses up to San Francisco in order to observe the suspect in person. We signed the out-of-town book, checked out a trip car, picked up our witnesses, and left for the Bay Area. 7:15 p.m., we checked into the San Francisco police station on Kearny Street. A special show-up was arranged for the victims from Los Angeles. They failed to give a positive identification of the suspect, but both of them said that he could be one of the men involved in the robbery. 8:20 p.m., we talked to the suspect, Jack Webb, in Inspector Sutton's office.
What are you guys trying to prove?
We're not trying to prove anything, Webster. We want the facts.
Well, that's what I'm giving you. Since when you get them, you don't want to believe.
We got two people outside that came all the way up here from L.A. Both of them say you're the guy who stole their cars and beat them up.
Well, they're both crazy.
According to the report, you pulled the kidnapping just like the ones that were pulled down south. How about that?
So it looks the same. That mean I did it?
Looks like it. We ran your name through R&I down in Los Angeles. There's a tab on your card for PDs. You know that?
What?
Galloway in Los Angeles wants you for parole violation.
Oh, well, I think I can explain that.
I don't think you can, Webster. Galloway says he hasn't heard from you for the past 6 weeks. That's how long these robberies have been going on. You look awful good for him.
So I maybe skipped town. I was going to report up here. I got a job. Now I'm trying to go straight.
How about the job they got you for now?
I needed a little extra dough. You know, some came up. I read about those jobs in L.A. I figured it might work for me. Thought maybe you'd figure it was the same guy.
Yeah, we do.
You got it all wrong. Sure, you got me nailed for this one, but that's all. I had nothing to do with him in L.A.
Our witnesses seem to think otherwise.
You tell your witnesses they're full of cheese. I didn't have anything to do with him. I'm sorry, boys. You got me tagged for a job up here. Nothing else.
How'd you figure that?
Well, how long did you say those jokers been working in L.A.?
About 6 weeks.
Then you got nothing on me.
Yeah.
Sure, I haven't left town for a month and a half, and I can prove it.
Jack Webster told us that he's been registered at a hotel on Geary Street for the past month and a half. Further, he said that he's been working in a foundry in South San Francisco for the same period of time. We checked both of the places out and found that he was telling the truth. He was filed on in San Francisco for grand theft auto and kidnapping. Sunday, February 22nd, we arrived back in Los Angeles, took our witnesses to their homes, and checked into the office. We called Captain Gideon and found that there'd been no new developments in the case. Frank and I went home to get some sleep. Monday morning, 7:45 a.m., we signed into the office. We picked up the flyers and started to canvass the area where we thought the hold-up men were living. During the first day, we were able to check out 28 places. Tuesday, the 24th, it started to rain again. At 8:30 a.m., we started to canvass the rest of the hotels, rooming houses, and boarding houses in the area. For 3 days, we talked to the day and the night clerk in each place. We left each of them a flyer with the description of the men and our card, asking them to call us if anyone answering the description should register at their particular place. For 3 days, it rained. Saturday, February 28th.
Think it'll ever stop, Joe?
There sure is wet.
Yeah. Looks like the guys we wanted dropped off the face of the earth. Nobody's seen or heard of them. I never realized there were so many hotels in L.A.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Well, let's try this one.
Right.
Yes, something you want?
We're police officers, sir. Here's our ID.
What's that?
Police officers.
Oh, police.
That's right, sir.
Yeah, police. Well, what do you want?
We'd like to know if you've got anyone here who answers these descriptions.
Like this, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. If you had a picture of them, it might help.
I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a picture, just that description.
Yeah, it could be the fellas at 4-8 and sure fit what it says here. Yeah, I bet it's them. I knew we should have called you fellas about.
Sir?
See, the day before yesterday, Amy, she's the girl, cleans up. She's taking care of their room. She said that she opened the closet and she saw a gun laying on the shelf. Right out in the open.
Did you report that to police?
Huh? What'd you say?
Did you report it to the police?
Oh, no. No, I didn't. You see, I figured that, live and let live. As long as it didn't cause me any trouble, I wasn't about to cause any. Amy and me talked about whether we should let you know, but then we decided against it. I didn't see none of it. We should have.
Why did you get tell us when you saw them last, sir?
Oh, well, a couple hours ago.
They registered here?
Yeah, and the Scott and Ed Withers up in room 4A. Ain't there now, though. Let's see. Well, I'll be darned. He ain't there. Well, I guess you're upset. I must have given the key and didn't remember.
That's room 408, you said?
What's that?
I said that's room 408.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. 4A, 4-4. They're up there now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, what are you wanting for? The dangerous criminals?
Well, we don't know, sir.
Well, be careful. You know, we wouldn't want anything to happen.
Yes, sir. Here, I'll get the button. All right. What do you think, Joe? I don't know. Hope there are boys. Don't tell me, right? Yeah. Down this way. 402, 404, 406. Here it is. Want to cover me? Yeah. How is it? Room clerk. How you on? Like to talk to you. Good. Hey, you ain't gonna... What's that? All right, sister, on your feet. Come on. How about the other one? He's out. All right. Here, I'll take him down for you. Too busy playing stupid. I told him 100 times. Stand still. You told him what? That we should have left. Get out of this lousy town. Going back home. Yeah, all right. Let's go. Back in the can this time. We'll never get out him and his big ideas. Smart guy. Old Ed, the big brain. Tried it, Joe. Yeah, well, maybe you'll make it this time. You'll have a lot of time to convince him.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent. On 17th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. Andrew J. Scott and Edward F. Winters were tried and convicted on 12 counts of robbery in the first degree and 10 counts of kidnapping for the purposes of robbery. They are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. A hold has been placed on them in the event of parole by the state of Arkansas. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for from 5 years to life for each count. In the case of Scott and Winters, these sentences are to run consecutively.